I'll get the exact name of it.
Okay.
I'll get the exact name.
That good, huh?
Very good. Yelp told me.
So good that you don't remember the name of it?
Well, it's not like it's a chain, right? It's just kind of like a
I'm just
one-off
curious.
restaurant.
It's my neighborhood. I'm curious if I know it.
I'll find it, and nothing like a college or a high school football game with some chicken kebab, some lamb, and some rice. That's usually how you do it before the games. So I ended up going there, but I went early, and that was the right thing to do. We ended up getting to the football stadium no later. Game starts at 7, 15 minutes before kickoff. We're sitting there and enjoying it. Traffic was hell, but it was going to be hell no matter what. So that game plan was the right game plan.
No snafus at all. This is very disappointing to me.
Well, what's snafu like?
I don't know.
Tell me.
I was waiting for.
You always root for him to run into trouble when he goes down south.
Every single day I'm on that freeway, it's something that I have to live with, right? That there are so many potential disasters waiting for me as far as traffic and everything else. And thankfully it doesn't happen a lot, but it happens just enough that I'd like to share the misery. I'd like to make sure that I'm not the only one.
It doesn't just happen to me. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
it's not. It wasn't just like misery, because here's the only reason why it was okay. If Waze tells me it's going to be about $1.40, $1.45, and that's what it ends up being, then I've already mathematically in my head said, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason why. Now, I probably traveled 25 miles before they even put me on a freeway, but I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, it had taken me. If you told me go back the same way, I would end up in
Palm Springs.
in Idlewild. But it was definitely, like you said, traffic's going to be hell, but I knew it was coming, so it wasn't like there was any surprise or shock there.
It was a pretty good weekend for the local teams. The Lakers get a win. We'll talk about LeBron and Ime Udoka yelling at each other on the sidelines. It was just surreal. It was really weird to see so many. LAFC, Jorge, they're into the MLS Cup final against Columbus. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's just a one or done, right? It's just one and done in Columbus this Saturday.
Yeah, that's it.
The LAFC will probably be a slight favorite. And I know of this because I had a nice chat with Dave Denholm yesterday.
And they have two former strikers. They have Christian Ramirez and they have Diego Rossi.
Well, he was just
These are both
say,
former LAFC
former
strikers.
LAFC strikers.
Well, yeah, everybody knows that.
Repeat champs.
They got a chance to go back-to-back in the MLS Cup. Yeah, Dave came by Hollywood Park Casino last night.
Oh, very nice.
Right as we were getting ready to start the pregame show, so he filled me all in on it.
And shout out to Ruben, who won one of our tickets last week. He sent us a picture from his seats. Looks like it was a really fun time. So
Perfect.
I'm glad you had a good time, Ruben.
It was great. And, of course, Slee, the Rams, who I've been telling you all season long we're going to go to the playoffs. And now here we are. And for what, 4 or 5 hours? You ready? The Rams are going to make the playoffs. They might.
That was in September.
They might. It was after week 2. They were in. They put the graphic on Sunday Night Football. Yep. Division leaders, wild card, in the hunt. And for most of the night last night, the Rams were wild card, 7th seed at 6-6. And then the Chiefs kind of tricked it off. The Packers all of a sudden looked like a very competent team.
Okay, can we talk about that no-call defensive pass interference?
You mean the mugging in the middle of the field that they didn't call a penalty on?
Yeah, Nickel Roby-Coleman would be proud of what happened there. Okay, so
that wasn't a PI. You could easily jump on somebody's back
right.
1.5 seconds before the ball comes.
Exactly. I know earlier on that drive there was a questionable call of a late hit on Patrick Mahomes.
He was in bounds, by the way.
Yes, sure. But officials have to officiate on the play at hand, and they officiated it poorly on both instances.
Do you think they do that? Do you think there's in their head naturally it's like, well, we screwed that one up.
Quote-unquote makeup calls?
We got a makeup call here?
I don't.
I was going to say,
I don't.
You have too many officials, too. Like, I don't know how you...
I think they're just bad referees sometimes. And the one on Mahomes on the sideline, I'll give them the bet because that happens in real speed, real time, and you're predisposed to know that Patrick Mahomes doesn't get hit. So when he gets hit like that, and it's that close to the sideline, maybe the flag comes out. I'll give him a little bit of the official a little bit of grace.
Like the Bengals last year, that one really bad out of bounds tackle of Patrick Mahomes. That one was more obvious than this one.
For sure. And this one probably shouldn't have been a foul because his foot was still in bounds. If the quarterback's in bounds, you can hit him. It was close. I think the one, if we're going to talk makeups, there was a PI earlier where the Kansas City wide receiver really wasn't interfered with all that much that they did throw the flag on. But if you're doing this, I have some friends that umpire and things like, you can't do makeups because then you're doing makeups to the makeup and then makeup to the makeup. If you miss one, it's just like, I missed it. I just got to call it like I see it. I just don't know how you see a play like that in the middle of the field where a guy is literally on his back, to your point, Slee, a full second before the ball is there, and not throw a flag.
Especially those types of plays.
Out in the open.
I was going to say, there's nothing to interfere with it. The ball's in the air for 3 seconds or whatever it is. You got a referee standing right in front, literally like from my distance to your distance, that close. And you still, and you can even tell with the defender, this happens all the time, in the NFL specifically, when a defender knows, he's just waiting for it. He's like, okay, waiting for it. And then finally he sees, okay, 2-3 seconds have gone by, flag's not coming. I'm going to start dancing a certain way because I got away with one.
It's one of those. Jorge, tell me if Maita has done this yet, because there's an age where they very clearly know right and wrong, but they're testing, right? And they'll do something that they know isn't right, and they're looking around to see if you saw it. Right? They're doing just a bad example. Like, I'm going to take a cookie off the counter. Mom said I can't have a cookie, but I'm going to take one anyway. And then as they start walking around, they start looking like, anybody going to see me? And then when they realize they're going to get away with it, get a little bounce in the step.
I love you one. She was supposed to turn in her homework folder on Thursday. She turned it in Monday, and she's like, hey, they told me it was okay to turn it in on Monday. Like,
there you go, right?
Damn.
Yeah. So you learn, like, all right, that I broke the rules. No, nobody's. I'm going to get away with this. And that's what that was. That, all right, here it comes. They're going to, what was it be? Either first and 10 or first and goals, probably about the 10-yard line.
Yeah, right there.
And it's, hey, wait, what? All right, let's
got away
go.
with it.
I got away with it. And Nickel Roby-Coleman, to your point, was the ultimate because he just tackled the guy in the middle of the field, knocked him out of bounds 5 seconds before the ball came. And you could almost tell, he's like, hey, it was either that or we give up a touchdown. I had no choice to do it. And you could feel the weight of the world come off of his shoulders. There are bad calls. That Nickel Roby-Coleman call was the reason we had reviewable pass interference for a couple of seasons. It never really worked, but that one for the Chiefs last night is one where you would have said easily, oh, yeah, that's PI. Put the ball down there at the 10.
But even with that, kind of going into the final minute of the game, it's like the Packers are up 8 against the Chiefs. Is this the same Packers team that I was watching against the Rams, and it was arguably the worst football game I've ever seen in my life until the Chargers played the Patriots yesterday 6-0? No, even with, you're not wrong. I mean, that penalty could have changed a game, but just the fact that the Packers were in that spot was shocking in itself.
It's kind of the two things are happening at the same time. The Chiefs are clearly not as explosive as they have been in previous seasons.
Matt Nagy.
They just don't look like they have looked in the rest of the Patrick Mahomes era. They're still good, but they're not, hey, they're going to win this for sure good. The Packers, to your point, Slee, I'm glad you brought it up. When they played the Rams at Lambeau a few weeks ago, it was one of the worst games I've ever seen. And Brett Rippon was bad for the Rams to the point where they literally cut him right away and brought in Carson Wentz. That's how bad he played. But watching it, you're like, Jordan Love is not good. The Packers are not good. But what it did is it gave him just a little bit of life.
Sure.
Because since then,
they won at Detroit.
They've been good.
Yeah.
And not only are they winning games, but they're winning games against good teams. Like you said, Detroit, Kansas City. They're beating good teams. And momentum is a son of a you-know-what, right? Because the Rams going into their bye had nothing cooking. They lost 3 in a row, and they looked bad doing it. Steelers, that's a game they should have won. They blew it. The Packers game that we're talking about, that was an ugly, ugly loss.
Bengals.
They get blown out by the Cowboys, and all of a sudden, those are their last 3 games going in to the final, the bye. They come out, and they get a really scrappy, ugly, quite frankly, maybe a little lucky win against the Seahawks.
But you won.
All of a sudden, got a little momentum. Perfect opponent comes in next. You smoke the Arizona Cardinals. You're feeling good about yourself. Yesterday, they beat a really good team. The Browns are a good team that they put 38 points up on, or 36 points up on.
And Flacco didn't look terrible either.
I'll go a step further. I thought he looked pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I thought that other than the really bad throw he made that John Johnson intercepted, Flacco's a better quarterback than DTR. Flacco is a legit NFL quarterback. He's not what he was a while ago. He looked fine. That's the best defense in football.
Surprising.
The Rams moved the ball on him. That was a huge, and that's what I mean. Momentum is one of those things that the Rams finally were able to jump on, and now you just got to play good football the rest of the way, and you probably get in.
Well, and think about it, because we got to also be honest and real. I think there was a huge conversation at 3 and 6 saying, stop winning games.
Yeah,
Get
for
the
sure.
hell out of the way. You know, what's it going to help you? We were talking about, hey, look, if you're going to go 2 years of having really bad seasons, at what point, as Samuel L. Jackson put, at what point do you start pointing the finger and saying, okay, tell me more about Sean McVay here? And now
I think we got our answer to that question.
Well, now you're looking at it. You're competing. You're back at 500. You got a chance to just be in the mix. And I wouldn't actually, we're doing this a little bit earlier, and I know we'll get into this. We got a long show, but Packers, go look at their schedule. Pay more attention to the Vikings.
No doubt.
The Vikings are actually the team that you may be able to surpass, so I don't know if Green Bay is going to come into play.
The Vikings are a much more likely team to catch. The Green Bay's schedule is pretty manageable. The Vikings have a monster schedule over the last 5 weeks. The Rams are kind of in between those two. The Packers schedule, pretty darn favorable. The Rams kind of in the middle. You got Baltimore, you got San Francisco left, but you got the Commanders, the Saints, and the New York Giants, so you should win those. The Vikings have 5 games left. All 5 of them could go either way. So the Rams are in a pretty good spot there.
Heaven on a Fork. You ever been there? Middle Eastern restaurant?
Don't know that one.
A little Persian food, Middle Eastern food.
Don't know.
Really good.
In Mission?
Yeah. Right in the heart of, yeah.
So you'll just take some random weirdo people on Yelp as opposed to somebody that you've worked every day with for 2 years. That's what I'm
Actually,
hearing.
no, Laguna Hills. Laguna Hills.
That's a yes.
Yeah. Laguna Hills.
Yeah.
I know he just
no
tried
response.
To, he just tried to.
No,
move
you were
on to it.
listen. You weren't wrong, but I also have to accommodate what she's looking for too. You know, so when she goes and she's doing Yelp has become the Bible, and when she's looking, you know, there's just certain food that you're in the mood for at that moment,
we're good.
at that
just
time.
Don't ever ask me for anything ever again. We're all good. College football playoff is set, and people are mad. Not me, but people are mad. That's next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. For the ones who get it done, Granger offers high-quality supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as access to product specialists who have the knowledge and experience to answer your toughest questions. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by.
right, guys. The college football playoff is set. And ESPN ate up all that drama on Sunday morning, delaying it as long as they possibly could. Here is the order. Number 1, Michigan. Number 2, Washington. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Alabama. Number 5, Florida State. Number 6, Georgia. And ESPN decided to announce it. They went 1, 2, 6, 4, 5, just to make it as much drama as possible.
They should have done 1, 2, and then waited till Wednesday.
Of course, yeah. Stay tuned. It's the old American Idol Ryan Seacrest, and after this break, and then the Rose Bowl will be between Michigan and Alabama, and the Sugar Bowl will be between Washington and Texas.
Good job, Oregon.
So, did the committee get it right?
I think so. Look, I think Florida State's lucky they didn't get dropped to 6th. They're not one of the 4 best teams. 2 things can be true at the same time. Mm-hmm. Florida State got screwed, and they shouldn't be in the top 4. Both of those things are true. They did everything you could ask them to do. They won every football game that they played in. But if you watch these games and you watched Alabama through the second part of the season, if you watched Texas, if you watched Washington, and you watch Michigan, they're better than Florida State. And this is the system we have. And quite frankly, I know it's not perfect. In fact, it's deeply, deeply flawed, but I like it because it's the only one that is like this. It's the only sport we have where the regular season, Florida State may argue about this at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Where the regular season actually matters. That It's not just did you win or lose, but what does it look like? I wouldn't want every sport to be determined like this, but for this, look, Georgia is, I think, a 12-point favorite over Florida State in their bowl game going. That just tells you all you need to know about what type of football team they have. It's partially because of the quarterback, but I have absolutely zero problem with Florida State being told, hey, good try, but you're not in.
The concept I don't like, and I think that's the thing that you're a proponent of. I heard the word committee 188 times yesterday, and I hate that we got to figure out this playoff based on this committee. That's the thing that I don't like. And I don't know if the regular season does matter, because if it does matter, I feel like that Florida State Florida State, part of the main reason why they're not in that top 4, and I'm not going to sit here and try to make an argument that I watched every Florida State football game. I haven't, but one of the main reasons why they're not in the top 4 is because their quarterback is not healthy. That has nothing to do with the regular season. That has to do with what they predict is going to happen in the future, which I think takes away some of the substance of the regular season.
I like that part. Why put in a team that doesn't have their best guy? If this is the format we have, look, if this were just a playoff, put 12 teams and have them start playing each other off.
Which we'll do that, right?
We'll do it soon enough.
That's going to happen next year.
This is not – the reason the regular season matters is Alabama hosted Texas, week 2 or 3? Super early in the season. Mm-hmm. And they lost. And Texas is in simply because of that one regular season game early, non-conference. They went outside of their conference. It'll be in their conference next year. But they went inside to arguably the toughest place to play in college football, or one of the toughest places.
Knowing if you lose that game, you probably got to run the table.
Probably. Mm-hmm. And they went in and they won. Alabama was really shaky early. That game against UCF was a weird game. They needed a 4th and 31 to beat Auburn, who had lost to New Mexico State the week before. Mm-hmm. It's just super weird. But when you look at what Florida State did, again, this isn't just your record and you win your division and you go in. There is an element of art to this, and you don't have your best guy. So we're trying to put together the 4 best teams that are going to give us 3 great games. Mm-hmm. Florida State needs to go and win their bowl game and say, you guys missed big. Because if they don't, then it's I think that's what
you're not wrong in making the case. It comes down to, if we're going to make the case of the regular season, they literally can't do anything else. And I'm not here to advocate.
They looked dreadful on their championship
game. They could have kicked the butts off of Louisville, and they didn't.
But that's the whole point of this, is they won. They did not lose a game all season long, and they're not in the college football championship, not because they didn't destroy Louisville, it's because their quarterback's not going to be healthy.
It's both. To your point, it's not just win the game. In college football,
points.
It's win the game and look really good doing it, and they didn't.
It was the least amount of points scored in an ACC Championship half in history.
It was a terrible game. To be honest with you, I'm more surprised that Georgia – I didn't know Georgia was playing for their life. I didn't know that. I thought Georgia was Hey, just make sure Alabama doesn't.
Well,
I didn't know they were playing for their life. That one was a little bit of a surprise.
If Oregon hadn't crapped their pants like they always do when the money's on the table, which, by the way, enough with those guys, right? That every time it's like, hey,
I know
this is the one that really counts.
10-point favorites.
This counts? Okay, we're going to be terrified for the first quarter of the game.
Right.
It's exactly what happened. They do it every single year. Yes, I'm in my feelings right now, but it was so classic of Oregon along the way. Had Oregon won that game, by the way, it took the lead, but had they won that game,
they came back.
Then I think it's different because then you've got 3 one-loss teams in there, and now you're juggling a little bit of a maybe
Washington would be out.
Washington would be out. I think maybe Georgia finds a way back in at that point.
I think so too. Probably.
Maybe, but Washington winning was like, oh, okay. Now you're only taking one SEC team. Once Washington won the Pac-12, and for the first time in a really long time, everybody agreed the Pac-12 was a good league. Undefeated in that league. Okay, they're in, and they're a high seed. Now, all of a sudden, you got to figure out those last 2, and that's where that second SEC team probably went out the window.
I think a lot of times it comes down to what was your best win of the season? And, I mean, obviously, you have
Texas.
So, yes. But Florida State's best win was in Week 1 against LSU. LSU was ranked number 5 at the time. They beat them 45-24.
Yep.
It was a neutral site, too, I think. And so it's...
Can I ask you a
when
question?
When it was Week 1 is their best win, that's really terrible.
Do you like the format or no?
4 teams?
Do you like the format of how they determine that it's a committee that's determining who's in? Trav likes the format.
Yeah, I like the format.
You like the format?
I like that it tends to be you'd get the 4 best teams at the end of the year.
And they did again.
Yes.
And they got it right again.
If you close
you
your
don't think
eyes,
Georgia's one of the 4 best teams in the country? I think Georgia's one of the best 4 teams in the country.
If they're not, they're 5th, and they put them at 6th.
If Georgia played Washington tomorrow, what would be the spread?
I don't know. I bet it'd be 3. Washington
I would
played some tight games, but Washington
I agree
was
with you.
Pretty clean.
They were pretty clean. I'm not disagreeing with you. But if you told me Georgia has Washington tomorrow, I don't know if the spread's going to be 3. Maybe it's just a little bit more. Maybe it's 4. Maybe it's 3.5, whatever it is. Oh, I'm putting my money on Georgia. I just am. So I think the problem with this committee idea is it's not coming down to – I know that the Dodgers made the playoffs. I know that right now the Rams are fighting for the playoffs. But I don't want somebody else to determine what the best 4 is.
I wouldn't want every sport to go like this, but that there's one, I'm 100% okay with it.
Because
I really am.
It's so hard to compare these leagues across each other because you could have undefeated, like Liberty's undefeated. Obviously, we know that is not one of the top 4 teams in the.
But I think the only case people are making is technically by the books. You have a Power 5 conference. And again, I don't know, Jack, you know what, about Florida State. I just know that
ACC is very bad.
But they are one of the Power 5 conferences, and that's all they can do. Literally, that's all they can do is win every single game.
But it's power in name, but not in practice this year.
If they would have said, I think if the case was more made the strength of schedule in the ACC and less to do with, well, your star quarterback's not going to be in, and that's one of the reasons why we're taking you out.
I think it's all of it.
That part is I don't know why that one is more of a sticking point for me.
55 in strength of schedule.
They were 3rd in whatever that other was right.
Sure.
Eye test, it's championship game, it's injury to the quarterback, it's the conference being down. The 4 best, if you're ranking the Power 5s.
I think Ohio State would probably beat Washington too.
The ACC is 5th. They are. They had you look at those teams. That was the 5th best conference among the Power 5. They put the champions of the other 4 conferences in ahead of them. It's not a huge leap
for conversation, for chatter. I mean, that's literally anybody talked about yesterday. It's going to be a lot what people talk about today. It's interesting. I just don't like that there is a committee determining. Because look, like I just said, I'm going to use it as an example. I think Georgia can take down anybody in the league.
Sure.
Anybody.
So can Ohio State. So can Michigan,
Ohio State.
So can
Absolutely.
Washington. So can Alabama. All of these teams can.
That's the portion of it.
But
that's the best 4.
Yeah, but you can only pick 4.
They had won 20-plus games in a row. They have one loss to Alabama in the SEC Championship game. I can make more of a case for Georgia than some of these other schools.
Yeah, but they're out too. That's why there's no shame in having Florida State out. There's 4 spots. They looked at it. I think they picked the 4 right teams. I think that the 4 teams that are in there. What's Georgia's
Texas
best
is
win
the
of
biggest
season?
surprise for me that got in of those 4.
Couldn't put Alabama in and leave Texas out. It just doesn't really, because they beat them head to head. None of those other teams have head to head matchups other than Alabama and Georgia. So I don't think that you could keep, if you're going to take Alabama, Texas had to go. If you're going to keep Texas out, Alabama was out.
What's a better?
You keep Georgia, you had to keep Texas and Bama.
There are 5 or 6 teams that I think could beat any of each other, but it matters when you win. This is just college football. It's not a perfect model, but I think they found the 4 best teams. I think that, could Ohio State run the table in that tournament? Sure, they could. You're gonna get a chance to see it next year. Could Florida State?
By the way,
No.
I think that is literally the answer. Is you're gonna get. If we had 6 teams that you can make an argument for this year, let's call it 6, we're not going to have that problem next year. And whoever's arguing for the 12th spot, it's almost similar to March Madness. Whoever's arguing for the, this guy should have been a number 8 seed or a number 9 seed, none of that matters.
Yeah, I think they got it right. I really do. If I were a Florida State fan, player, coach, staffer, or anything like that, I would be furious.
And they are.
And they are.
They should. Yep.
And, oh, well.
What does Yelp say? Can you check, Alan?
I'll tell you. 10 minutes. Let me look it up.
3.5 stars.
Let me look it up.
They got 2.
Actually,
2 for the ACC.
Might be right.
Yelp is like the committee, right? See? There you go. You go with what the committee says.
Little more college football. SC has a couple of different announcements at the quarterback position. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Hey, if you get hurt in an accident, call Sweet James, 1-800-9-MILLION. 1-800-900-0000. Here's why you call Sweet James. You want a firm that has an incredible amount of experience. Sweet James, nearly 20 years. Multiple attorneys who have been in this a long time, looking at every case to make sure that every angle of your case is covered. They want to make sure that they help injured victims get the medical care needed with life-changing settlements. And that's where the pre-litigation and the litigation department at Sweet James come in. The insurance companies know that Sweet James isn't going to take any settlement. They need the right settlement. And if they don't get it, they go to trial. And when they go to trial, guess what happens? Sweet James wins 98% of the time with over 500 trials under their belt. You're not going to find anything better than that. So if you're hurt in an accident, make the call that I've made, that my friends have made, that my family has made. If you're hurt in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, call the accident attorneys at Sweet James. 1-800-900-0000 and sweetjames.com.
The Black
All right, let's just get this out of the way as quickly as we possibly can. Don't look at me like that, Jorge.
That's right.
Here are our picks for the week, right?
Can't believe I lost ground.
Let's see here.
Walking around yesterday, the house, I'm like, do you know who you live with?
Here's what we had. Jorge is still the leader. He posted a 9-point week. He's got 75 points.
Who'd you lose? What game?
Just the Washington game.
Oregon. He had Oregon in his one.
Oh.
Emily also had a 9-point week.
That's good.
She is right on Jorge's heels with 73.
I'm so happy for you guys, for both of you.
She missed the Eagles game.
Yes.
Al, you only missed one game too. You just missed you had the Browns in your 2 spots, so you had 8. You have moved
Flacco.
out of the cellar. You are now in 64, and I only got 1 game right. Now, it was my 4-point game, so I would
so you saved yourself a little bit there.
A little bit, not much. I still was giving away a whole bunch. I had the Rams at 4, missed the other 3, so I am now in last place at 62.
It's okay.
Boo.
Yeah, they're kind of running away with it. I got to be honest.
We got a long way to go. We got the playoffs. We've got all of these things.
Yeah, Jorge, where do you want to eat?
We might throw the Pro
I might
Bowl
have
in
to
there
pick because you might not
to.
come with us.
That's okay. I might not. I'm gonna be busy that day.
Maybe back that day, right?
We're like San Jose State and
I have faith in
Air
myself.
Force.
I'm coming back. By the way, the laundromat that you went to, Emily, very nice.
Yeah, I went to this one in Mar Vista. It's called the Big Wave Laundromat. It was really nice. It was next to a coffee shop and a bakery. I found it because it's right near I swim, so I swam. Then I went over to the laundromat. It was great. It was a little more expensive than I wanted it to be, but I was willing to pay a couple dollars more for a nice place.
I had 3 different people come up to me at the Rams games yesterday. Go, I don't get the laundromat thing. What are you talking about? I'm like, I like them. Well, no,
I really enjoyed my time.
I heard what you said, but why? You don't really like them, do you?
I'm about to go on air, and then you just leave the conversation.
No, I'm like, I like them. They're relaxing. I had a long conversation with Adam Bronstein.
Yeah.
He comes up to me and goes, oh, dude, I love him too. He's 100% in as well.
Yeah, I read my book. I had a little tablet. I played solitaire. It was great.
Ronnie took my sparkling water one time.
Is it quarters only, or can you guys pay with the app?
I had an app.
Yeah,
okay,
I
have the app too. I got an app.
Ooh, you know what? I need to see my new laundromat because I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, they're all
I
like that. Yeah.
Sliding those 4 quarters into that machine.
Yeah, you like
and
the
then you
tactile
drop
nature.
one,
Yes.
and then it goes under the washer,
It's
and
like-
then you got to. Can I get some help here? It's under.
But
This one
it's
had
like
plenty of
the
parking.
slot machine, right? Like when they went from actually putting coins in
Yeah.
and the coins dropping into that bin, ding, 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 ding. Now it's just electronic noise. I want the
Why does it
tactile
feel
version.
like when you're at a laundromat? I haven't been one in a while, but why does it feel like when you found a quarter on the ground, it's like you found $100? I'm like, oh my gosh! You look around, you're
Extra
like,
25 minutes.
there's
to grind.
nobody else in here.
How often would you
My
try to
quarter.
pass that Canadian quarter through there too?
Oh,
like
you
you'll
try
get
to think-
throughout your travels in life, you're gonna gain a few Canadian quarters here or there, and I always like, hey, that half the laundromats will take that Canadian quarter.
You know what you're going to end up being? I could already kind of see your future. How long do you want to work in radio?
Until I have enough money not to.
Okay, so let's say going on this rate, year and a half, you'll be done.
God, that would be
You'll be
amazing.
retired. You'll be retired then. When that day comes, you're going to be like, you know how there's those critics for restaurants? They could shut down your restaurant if you don't get the right review.
Right.
Right? And they walk in where nobody knows when they're coming. It's like, oh my gosh, this critic is here.
He's here. He's here.
Don't screw this up. We got to get everything perfect. You're going to be a laundromat critic.
There's an arcade
where
next to mine.
people are worried and scared to see you walk through that front door. And it's like, here's Travis. He's going to be critiquing everything.
The guy in Ratatouille. Oh,
I was just going to say, what's the guy's name in Ratatouille?
Ego.
Anton
Ego.
Anton. I will be. I'll have the little bags under my eye. I'll be super.
Maybe you run your
grumpy
own
all the time.
laundromat. You create your own because
No,
I think
no,
that you
no,
could be
'cause
very.
that's already-
You should know this about me by now. I'm much more comfortable criticizing something than doing something.
Okay.
I much prefer to tell you what you're doing wrong than do it myself. That's just my.
Let's go with the one, the
my
arcade
nature for sure.
Winter Park.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, they are. So sometimes they'll have like some old school video games in there. It's a wonderful
This
way
one
to
was
spend some
next
time.
to a farmer's market, which was really nice too. So you can go to a farmer's market while you're on your break. Yeah, it was
nice.
It was very fancy, very nice.
Look
yeah.
at you. She got dressed up to go to this one.
Why not? Go get some tamales and do your laundry.
Get some salsa.
It's a great day. This from Shotgun Spratling on Twitter, who covers USC. USC head coach Lincoln Riley confirms that they are looking for a quarterback in the transfer portal. Said he's super pleased pleased with Miller Moss, wishes they could have gotten Moss more playing time. Quote, I fully expect him to be in the mix no matter what happens. Okay, so that's quarterback news number one. Quarterback news number two with USC is Caleb Williams officially will not play in the Holiday Bowl. Tomorrow will also be Tuesday. Those two things kind of line up with each other.
What?
Right. Caleb Williams is.
Petco's a nice park. I mean,
I'm not saying you can't go down there and have some fish tacos and watch the game.
Go to Coronado before the game.
Sure.
Just kind of relax,
Coronado
hang out.
Brewing Company, a nice little spot
Let's
right
do
there.
all that.
Go to the Brigantine and have a cocktail. There's a lot of things going on over there.
Come on, Caleb.
Yeah.
Go to Puesto, taco spot. Come on.
Come down, relax.
He's not going to play football. The next time he plays football will be in an NFL game, as it should be. That's fine. SC looking in the portal for a quarterback, according to this, is really interesting to me because they have Miller Moss, who Lincoln Riley apparently is pleased with, according to that quote. Whatever happened to Malachi Nelson? Right? This was one of the top recruits coming out of high school, and you don't see his name mentioned here, that they're in the portal. Like if you said, hey, look, we got Miller Moss and Nelson, okay, but that they're looking into the portal already, I get, A, that's just the nature of college football in the early 21st century. That's just the way that it is. But B, man, nothing means nothing anymore. If you go to a place, it's like, yeah, you'll be there until you're to your next place. And you look around at all these guys that have been in different spots. That's just life in college football.
Free agency, brother.
Basically.
I mean, really, it is. And I don't really know what to make of it. I think we all got to kind of adapt, and because you got these players that now have legitimate opportunities where they can have different schools bidding for their services, I can't hate on that.
Was it Matt Rule last week that said a quarterback in the portal costs a couple $1 million?
Yeah,
Nebraska's head coach.
Yeah. And that's there's certain programs. There's other programs that are real programs.
Yeah,
I mean, think about what that cost is. But I can't. I know as much as we'd like to see. Hey, there's some consistency. I know who these guys are. They're not kind of bouncing all over the place. And maybe it's one of the suggestions you had. You can enter that transfer portal. Maybe there's a limited amount of time that you can get in. It's one time, whatever the case is. But I don't know. If somebody has a job today and tomorrow there's 3 other job offers, and then you could just go make the best decision, and that could change on a year-to-year basis, I'm not opposed to it. But it's going to be interesting to see what USC does. You
got to get a guy that's at least going to be there for a little bit, right? I don't know if you got to have the 4-year or 5-year guy the way that it was for a very long time, but to just come in,
you get 2 years, you get 3 years.
Well, you got 2 with Caleb Williams. That worked pretty darn well. But Bo Nix was at Oregon for a long time. Penix was at Washington for a long time. And even if you look at some of these other guys, it's just you can't just come in and figure it out right away. And then if it doesn't happen for you, help me with the pronunciation, the kid that started at Clemson was at Oregon State.
DJ Uiagalelei.
Uiagalelei. He was the guy coming out of high school. He goes to Clemson, just didn't really happen. He goes to Oregon State. He was okay, but it didn't really happen in a meaningful way. Now he's going to be on to his 3rd place. We saw JT Daniels, who just announced over the weekend that he was retiring from football. SC, West Virginia, Georgia, and Rice. He played for 4 different college schools. That's crazy.
Wow.
You're never going to get traction unless you are a freakazoid like Caleb Williams, if you're constantly moving from one spot to the next.
I think if I trust Lincoln Riley on anything, I trust him in picking a quarterback. And so I think that if he's going to the transfer portal, he's going to pick somebody that he sees a lot in. The only person he's missed on is Spencer Rattler. And even he was not the worst quarterback in college football. And so I think...
And he only stuck with him for, 3 or 4 games before he moved off of him to Williams?
Right, exactly. So if you're going and you're transferring to USC with Lincoln Riley, you know that you have a chance for a Heisman. You're going to attract good quarterbacks.
That's a very, very good point, and they're always going to be able to score, and they might have fixed their defense to a degree, too. We'll get into that coming up at 11 o'clock, but coming up next, it's a Monday. It's an Ask Slee Day. That's next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
Hey, it's corporate Greg. Mason Ireland back at 1 o'clock today, and what a huge weekend for Steve Mason.
10 ESPN. That's the phone number if you want to reach out and do an Ask Slee on the phones. You can also send them to us on Twitter at Travis Rogers, at Emily Hebel, at JabCamLA. That's all good ways to do it as well. Christopher Holmes, batting leadoff in the Trav and Slee All-Star Community, which you should sign up for on Twitter.
Hey, what's up, Holmes?
True or false, Slee? You would rather someone not ask your opinion on something than have them ask and then not take it. Hashtag Ask Slee.
One more time. Give it to me again. I got it. Let it soak in here a little bit.
True or false? You would rather someone not ask for your opinion on something than have them ask and then not take it.
No, false. Listen. If you asked my opinion on something and I gave it to you, and you ended up not taking it, let's use the restaurant on Friday as an example.
Just off the top,
off the top of my head.
Sure.
I'm not going to be angry at you. And I still may give you some advice down the road. I'm not going to lose any. It just didn't work out. I knew for me, even on Friday, knowing that I wasn't going to go to the place that you recommended, I'm like, I don't know, Trav's going to be like, oh, well, cool. Thanks for going to that place. I had already built that into my head that was going to happen.
Factored it in.
Do you eventually stop recommending things if people don't take it ever? So how I feel about movies and TV shows, I might offer up my opinion about a recommendation, and if people will never take it, I kind of stop giving it unless they ask, obviously.
I'm with you. Yes, a direct question, I will respond, but at some point it's like, why am I gonna?
Yeah, clearly you don't care.
Yeah,
so.
you don't care.
Okay, question
so
for you.
move on.
Do I have a long laundry list of recommendations you've given me?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I see Emily's a little more kind. She's got a little longer runway than I do. I might be a one and done guy. You're going to have to find out.
No. Your next recommendation is a place that you hated. You should really get out there.
I've taken your recommendations in Santa Barbara, and they were great.
Thank you, Emily.
Exactly.
Appreciate
so he gives good recommendations.
I gave you one on the air, and then I told you, I'm like, hey, this is a very specific type of place. And you're like, yeah, I don't know about that. I gave him a second one that I would be very surprised if Michelle would not have liked that place. But, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Em.
I have one from Jacob Wrightwood, and he says, what was your first ever screen name? So, whenever you got your IM or your Gmail or whatever, what was your first ever screen name? Big Bucket Slee, 89?
My God.
If it wasn't, that's what it should have been.
I can't remember off the top. I think I've told you guys this before. In high school was a lot of Big Al. So I'm sure there was something kind of mixed in using that. Do you remember your first screen name?
I don't remember exactly
it would be
what
like
it was.
AOL,
but it wasn't
I
remember
like
it was an AOL address, and it was something with my name wouldn't work. Somebody else had already used that, so it was something like T. Rogers with a series of numbers after it. It wasn't.
Could have easily been Eddie Jones. Yeah, I mean Eddie Jones could have easily been.
Mine was Goalie Girl 6 with GRRL, like a grr. And sometimes people get texts from me.
I was going to say
because it's still my iMessage.
I feel like I've seen that from you at some point.
Yes, it's still my Apple ID is attached to that old email. So
Jorge, do you remember your screen name?
Yeah, mine. I used to have a bunch of Samoan and Tongan friends, so they told me what my name in Tongan was. It's Siausi. In Tongan, it's Jorge. It's Siausi. So that's what it was.
How do you spell that?
Siaosi. Siausi.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to start calling you that.
Siausi.
Siausi on the board over
so
here.
Then
Producer
it was
Siausi.
And I was like, wait, what?
You got one, Jorge?
Yeah, from Daniel Tapia. He says, Slee, you're at the mall doing holiday shopping.
Okay.
You take a break on the bench. Someone comes up to you and asks you to watch their bag. That person is gone for a long time. Do you continue to wait for that person, or do you tell somebody else to watch the bag for him?
It almost sounds like a prank. Like when they...
There's a Seinfeld episode about this.
I was going to say, I feel like I've seen specific pranks on this. Okay. Here's what I got to know. I'm not staying more than... the amount of time that I feel like is so disrespectful, I'm not staying 10 minutes to watch your bag. 5 is like my window. That's like at 5 now I could leave at any time. Like I'm basically saying to myself, I'm not going to continue to watch this. I don't even know if I'm going to another stranger. I'm not going to another stranger and telling them, can you watch somebody else's bag that was supposed to be here that left? I'm giving you a 5 minutes at the least, but probably anywhere 6-7 minutes. I'm freaking going, and you got to figure out your bag.
Yeah, that's one of these, hey, I'm waiting for somebody. Once they get here, I'm leaving. Good luck. You probably want to find somebody else.
This happened to me one time at like
a you
mall.
just like leave as long as you want to leave. What the hell is this?
Yeah, it's happened to me at a mall. Like essentially somebody told somebody, "Oh, here's the bag. Can you watch it?" And then that person left, and then we came and there was an empty bag unattended, and we were like, "Oh, this is a little sketchy." And then later on, a police person came over and looked at it. Obviously, because
sure,
people are crazy.
Hand it to a clerk at a store and just say, "Can you put this behind the desk for me? I'll be back." And they're going to say
literally
yes.
sounds the start of a prank.
Let's try a phone call here. Panorama City and Darren. Darren, hashtag Ask Slee. What's up, Darren?
Yes. I was watching one of my favorite movies last week, and I was wondering, Slee, if you were out in your cornyard and a voice said to you, if you build it, you will come, what would you build and who would come?
If you build it, they will come. What would I build? I'd build an NFL stadium in downtown San Diego. And my hope is that if I build the NFL stadium in downtown San Diego, kind of where Petco Park is, where they have some, Dooll that's there that has their. I
think you're right.
They have like the containers, all that stuff there. I'd just build it there and then hope that the Chargers will work their way back.
I'm building a fancy kitchen and something. I want Bobby Flay or Julia Child or somebody to come in and give me some lessons. I want somebody to come in here and teach me how to do this stuff. I want being rich would be great and everything, but I want to have some game. I want Bobby Flay to cook me something.
I want to build whatever that airplane was at the edge of the water so that people can come and rent out this Airbnb and make me a lot of money.
A year.
Hey, they turned around. She turned around.
She won't stay there. No, she didn't.
I won't stay there.
She
just a business. She
looks
just
like you guys would stay
business.
there.
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Just wants it as a business.
This is a great question. This is from the Dirty Wizard, hashtag Ask Slee. What are the proper steps to take when you walk into a spider web?
Okay. Well, anybody who's like calm, cool, and collective when they get a web, that ain't me.
Is it anybody?
I don't know. I feel like somebody's like, oh, man, and then like slowly and surely taking off. Left hand comes up first. I'm like hitting left, right. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I'm chopping. Because here's what I'm trying to figure out. Is there any more web left? I need to know if there's any more web left. Then it's immediately, I'm looking now. Is something crawling on me?
That's number one.
Is something, is it on my chest? Is it on my back? Is it on my hood? Is it already in? Did it already get inside? And then I think the last thing is you kind of review the situation. You turn back around because you look like a complete idiot. Take a look if anybody took a look and see if there's any web left.
Oh, I don't care if anybody sees. I am basically getting in an invisible fist fight.
Yeah.
I am just swinging at anything that's moving near me. I want that web off me.
It's a great question.
You wipe your face, about 10,000 times
Yeah.
to try to get it off. And then what you said, there's a 20% chance that spider is on you.
That was a creature's home.
Yeah, it's gross.
Cholo fighting.
It will fight. It will fight for its life.
There was a spider web in my car for like a week because it was on the passenger side, and I would go to the car wash and I get vacuumed out or whatever, and I killed the bug eventually, but it keeps on coming back.
That means there are more spiders in your car.
So
yeah.
Sure, fine.
Light off one of those foggers in your car for a day.
That sounds great. I'll do that.
And drive to
go
work
through
with the
one of the
windows
car
down.
washes. Yeah, just because they go through car. Put all the windows down.
All right, one more here. Optimus Prime Rib. When deciding to eat with Lady Slee, when deciding where to eat with Lady Slee, does she really mean it when she tells you to choose? And how annoying is that face and tone of displeasure while at the restaurant when you unknowingly pick the wrong spot?
I tell her this sometimes too. I'm like, just be more direct. Don't say sure. Okay? Sure is the worst. Hey, do you want to eat at this place? Sure. Well, what do you want me to do with that? The sure obviously means that you're not crazy about eating there. No, I don't want to go get Italian food for the fourth time in the last 2 weeks. She loves Italian food anyways. But I think there's definitely just give me an idea. Are we good here or are we not?
You guys get this one? Where, Susan will make a suggestion. Like, hey, let's go to, Maison. That sounds great. Let's do that. And then she will offer 6 more things. It's like, you just made a suggestion that I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's go there. Yes. Let's go there. I'm 100% enthusiastically yes on your first suggestion. Well, what about these 7 other places? What about them? We already said yes to the first one.
I like the one where you pull up to the place. And it's like, well, why are we here? I'm like, well, you didn't suggest anything. This is what I want.
Okay, there was a guy, again, this is another one of those like short videos, Instagram. What was I talking about last week? How a guy pretending he's repairing stuff to impress his girl. So he was saying something like, this is what he does with his girl. And he's like, okay, I have the restaurant picked out that we're going to. Do you want to guess it? And so he makes it like a game. And she's like, okay, let me guess it. And then whatever she says, he's like, are you kidding me? That's exactly the one I was thinking. He just does that for everything.
I like this guy. He's got a little. He's
playing chess.
He knows how to do it for sure.
Hey, Casper V, send your questions, fool. We're waiting for him.
Yeah, what the hell is that? I was even telling him,
That's
too.
what I'm
I'm like,
saying.
we're ready.
SC had a disastrous 2023 college football season.
They made it to the Holiday Bowl.
That said, they may have made the most important move for 2024 already. That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
The return of $1 Million Return of $1 Million Mondays.
$1 Million Mondays.
Your chance to win $1 million from 710 ESPN.
Listen every Monday this football season for your chance at $1 million. $1 Million Mondays.
Presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
Listen every Monday to 710 ESPN. When you hear the cue to call, be caller number 7. Give us your Super Bowl prediction. Both teams and the final score, and you could be winning $1 million this football season on LA's $1 Million Mega Sports Station. 710 ESPN.
Go ahead.
Well, I did. It's a bonus edition of
Lim.
Lim.
It's not Lim. It's not Lim.
Well, I asked
Lim.
you earlier today. We ran into each other, and I said, "Hey, you coming in today?" And you're like, "I got a lot to do." So
Lim
I don't know.
is,
But
yeah,
next
Lim
thing I know, I
is.
turn around and you're here.
Well, because after I had finished up some work, I was looking through Twitter just to kind of catch up on, because I couldn't have the audio up in the office, so
Okay.
I didn't know what was going on the show. And the great Aaron Palmer tweeted something in the community, and I clicked the link and discovered the Hoops Talk podcast with Alan Sliwa,
Yeah.
which I didn't know existed.
Of course that exists. You know that exists.
I didn't know it existed. Not the Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa with a graphic and his own studio. His studio looks pretty good. It's all black and dark inside, which I like studios like that because it's cool.
Like the old who's the Charlie Rose kind of situation.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it needs more color and flavor. We're working on it. I'm working on it.
Now, where is that studio?
At home.
That's in Pasadena.
That's in Pasadena, California.
That's a good logo, Al.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
I didn't. Now, is that your old channel?
Yeah, it's the same channel.
But you updated Hoops Talk.
Hoops
so
Talk.
does that mean you're talking more than just Lakers?
Still going to do predominantly Lakers.
Will you
Predominantly
talk
Lakers.
Hornets?
No. Heck no. Heck
Of
no.
all the teams to pick.
Will you talk Pacers?
No.
Orlando Magic.
Okay, let me update you guys. Basically just Los Angeles Lakers basketball. No, predominantly Lakers. That's all.
Now,
Detroit.
will you continue the podcast in the offseason?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See, I think you should get
Yeah,
rid of
I have to.
I think you get rid of the Hoops Talk.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the Alan Sliwa podcast. The Sleecast. There you go.
Ooh, the Sleecast.
The Sleecast.
I like the sound of that.
You use the music that we used to use from Sliwa After Dark.
The Sleemelcast.
No,
If you change
gotta
it-
keep it Hoops Talk.
If you change it to Sleecast, I'll do
Mm-hmm.
the imaging for it. Now,
No.
everybody,
Pretty good offer.
it's time for the Sleecast. Live from Pasadena, California. Just footsteps away from the Rose Bowl.
Gotta keep it Hoops Talk.
And where they do the parade. The Sleecast.
Well, it's not like
Colorado
I'm doing
Boulevard.
the show for Pasadena. It's just from Pasadena.
From Pasadena.
Maybe we could get
Sometimes
Hacksaw. We
from
could get
San
Hacksaw to
Diego.
cut a liner. Pasadena.
Want to hear from a
you.
Laker fan in Pasadena. React to me.
Oh, you gotta keep that. I mean,
The Sleecast.
It's like 6 years of doing YouTube. Keep that bad boy going.
Pretty good numbers on that last show you did after the Rockets game. So
By the way, that's so funny.
So you no longer do post game for us, but you run home after doing pre to do post game on the Hoops Talk Alan Sliwa podcast.
Probably 6 years now. Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? So you used to do post game for us and then do post?
Yeah.
You did
literally.
post.
Double post.
Yeah.
So here I thought when you were cutting back a little bit here that you would have more time with Lady Slee, but no, you're saying, hey, hun, I got to do the Hoops Talk podcast with Alan Sliwa.
She still hangs out.
Do you go live on YouTube? Mm-hmm. You do.
You go live.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was thinking maybe like middle of the third quarter sometimes you could kind of can that thing and get ahead of the game. Like if Lakers are down by 28 points in the third quarter. You're like, I'm going to jump out ahead of this one. I'm going to put this in the can real quick.
So it's live on YouTube right after the game?
Yeah.
I'm going to use this against Beto now because I'm just going to say, listen, if you want to play games, we'll pot up that podcast. We'll pot up that podcast.
Amazing.
You keep
Beto's
telling me
fine.
about all these boxing matches you got to go work for. Now we'll just pot up the Sleecast. I ain't worried.
It's Hoops Talk, not Sleecast.
Sleecast is not bad, but it's gonna. Yeah, it's gonna
I
stay
want
Hoops Talk.
Sleecast in the summer. I want summertime Slee. Summer. Okay?
It's a slow time.
Yeah.
It's not a good time.
No.
It takes you back to like no content in the middle of COVID. Oh man, those shows.
It's a long time. Those were long shows.
How long?
for a
How long
time.
did we go with no sports for?
3 months? 4?
No.
At least 3 months.
Three
it
or
was at
four.
least 3 months.
Long enough for the Lakers and Dodgers to rest and then win championships.
Thank God. There's the only 2 that they've gotten.
Well, they didn't even have to rest. What did the Dodgers do?
The
That
Dodgers
season
never really started. Like,
yeah,
they had spring training that had gone for a couple of weeks.
but it was
They shut it down.
literally mid-March, and
Yeah.
then it went from there.
Then they did spring training at Dodger Stadium where they're doing inter-squad games with cardboard cutouts in the seat.
What time are you doing the Super Bowl parade for the Rams?
I'm
After
thinking 11:15 is the Super Bowl parade.
Really?
The Rams? You know? You ready? The Rams are going to make the playoffs.
Hey, they lose in the wild card of the playoffs. That's a freaking great season.
Okay.
That's a great
I really
freaking
do think
season.
they're going to make it. I obviously want them to make it. It's already been a really good season. With the 5 starters that they've developed.
Just asking. Okay. Are you concerned that without a very lucky interception, because the man is 38 years old and didn't see a safety coming across,
Talking about?
that if not for that play, that one play, a guy who hasn't played all year came off the couch and ate up the Rams defense.
They beat
He
them
didn't eat up the
36 to
Rams
19.
defense.
After
Chris.
that
no,
play.
look,
He
look,
didn't
look,
eat
look.
up. They
Here's-
scored 19 points in
What
that
is
game.
what is your
That's
saying?
really
Two
good.
things. What is your saying?
That's
Two
really
things can
good.
be right.
2 things can be true at the same
I
time.
think that's a Sedanoism.
Okay, so
I've been
real
saying
quick,
that
let
for
me,
Actually
let me
not.
let me hit on
I
this
don't know.
one.
Sedano takes credit for it.
They
He
beat
can have his credit all he wants, but
they
I
beat
say it.
Seattle, and there was reasons why they beat Seattle.
Yes.
They followed that up. Who was last week's win?
Arizona.
Okay, Arizona.
You and I
They
could have beat
suck.
Arizona.
That you could have a storyline behind that, and then beating Cleveland with some of the injuries they had. You could have a storyline. But here's the bottom line: they're 6-6.
True.
And they're in the mix.
No, they are.
Literally all
It's
that
gonna-
matters. I'm with you. I'm not like sold on the Rams. Watch out for them. I think if they make the playoffs, they're going to be out
If
pretty
the
quick.
Chiefs would have actually won that game,
they would be in the playoffs as of today.
Yeah.
Look, that was their best
Minnesota. Look at Minnesota's games. That's the team to watch. Don't worry less about Green Bay.
That was their best win of the season by a mile.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. Their defense, and I get it, Joe Flacco is not Patrick Mahomes. I get that. But he's better than DTR. He threw a terrible pass, but he did a decent job yesterday. The Rams only gave up 19 points, which in the NFL is fantastic. They put up over 30 for the second consecutive week against the number 2 defense in the league. You're looking about Zadarius Smith, who was not injured, only had 1 tackle. Myles Garrett, who probably was dinged up pretty good, had 0 tackles. This was a masterful performance by them. Completely complimentary football, offense, defense, special teams, maybe not so much. That could be. We don't have to talk about that right now. We can get to that another day. It was a great day for them.
That will come back and haunt them.
It might. Mm-hmm. It might.
You mean when they play better teams, like next week?
They're not going to beat that team next week. They're not as good as the Ravens.
But the question is, how will they rebound after getting their doors blown off by Baltimore?
I don't think they'll get blown.
I think 100%.
I don't think they'll get their doors blown off.
Easy there, Travis.
I don't think they'll
want
get
to snafu. I know Emily doesn't like this talk because she's anti-Raven.
Yeah, no, she's very anti-Raven. I think they'll lose to the Ravens, but I don't think they'll get blown out.
That's already in there as an L.
They don't have to beat the Ravens. Mm-hmm. They have to beat the Commanders, they have to beat the Saints, they have to beat the Giants, and they're going to go where they need to go.
Minnesota's got 2 against Detroit. They got 1 against Green Bay.
They're going to be all right.
Also, Chris,
yes,
this is perfect for you because what could be a potential playoff matchup is the Detroit Lions with Jared Goff. Jared Goff versus the Los Angeles Rams.
And Goff comes back. Comes back.
Love it.
To knock them out. Oh.
By the way, I don't feel good about Goff in that game.
Why?
I don't feel good about the Lions that game. The defense
is
poor.
Like the last thing you want to see. The last thing you want to see is McVay.
Should have lost to the
Rams
Bears
on the other side.
Did lose to the Packers at home. Mm-hmm. Had the Saints down by 21-0 at one point, and then the Saints came all the way back on. And
that's
their defense
why
is a problem.
Florida State should have got in.
Is that something you're going with today? FSU should have gotten in.
I hate the way. I heard the word committee 187 times since yes. I just hate that other people are determining who's in and who's out. I just hate that. Don't like that at all. Because I can make a case that
that's
Georgia's.
How it's been forever.
I can make, but it does. I think it goes back to it. I hate the way it's done, and it's all going to go away by the time you get to next year. It doesn't matter who's the 12th school, the 11th school. That I don't think is a big deal.
I like it's the only sport where the eye test matters, where your resume is almost second to some of this stuff that when you win is just as important as who you beat and by how many. All of these things factor in. This is the only. I don't want all the sports like it. I like that there's one that's completely subjective.
It's nice to have UT.
Like it.
Even though I hate UT, it's nice to have UT in there back in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. They got the best teams.
Hopefully somebody can beat Michigan. No, because I can't stand Michigan.
They gave him Alabama right out of the chute.
I love it.
Okay,
it's amazing.
You've
game.
been stealing
amazing
all these
game.
signs. We've suspended you twice this year.
Yep.
You guys, okay, all right. Here's Nick Saban in Alabama. Go ahead. Go deal with this.
I've never said Roll Tide, but Roll Tide.
I think we all. Isn't that kind of funny that I think we're all going to be rooting for Alabama? Isn't that kind of funny?
This is how unpopular Jim Harbaugh is. We're rooting for Nick Saban.
I know.
That's how bad.
Well, why is Saban kind of churned on me a little bit?
You know why? Because he's there every year. And he does not pretend that he's anything other than exactly what he is.
But I feel
there is no pretense with Nick Saban.
But
he's
you see their reaction in that conference, whatever there was, wherever they were.
It's great.
Michigan, they're just waiting for who they're going to play. Alabama, they're like, oh,
damn. They would have been doing backflips had they said Florida State because they know they won that game by 4 touchdowns.
That game's New Year's Day, right?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Oh, that's right. Both of them are.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It feels like it used to feel.
College football's a New Year's Day day.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, Trav goes to the Rose Bowl. I don't know if he's ever mentioned that.
We'll see this year.
Really?
We'll see. There's factors involved.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We'll see.
What are the?
Not saying no, but I'm not saying yes. You've already heard me complain about it.
Oh, then.
Yeah.
Is it that same person that you complained about from Thanksgiving?
No.
Oh. No. This is a different.
Yeah, this is a different complaint. I've got a few.
Man, I want to go to that game.
You dig deep.
Yeah, that's going to be expensive.
Dig
deep.
But
you have you're basically buying 14 tickets.
6.
I got to buy 2, and even the one that I buy, probably stare at the field for 30 seconds.
Start flipping through her phone.
Yeah.
It's an expensive phone flipping day.
Take a look at this. We could go eat here after the game on Yelp.
but not the place that Travis said.
No. Yeah, did you hear how that went down?
No.
So Slee was down in our neck of the woods on Friday night.
Coldest day in Mission Viejo's
I know
history.
Travis and I texted on Friday night, but I didn't see your text come through.
It was a group text. Are you sure you didn't see it? Should have came through.
So he went down to go watch his alma mater, Granite Hills, play Mission Viejo High School in the state championship playoffs.
You were in Mission Viejo.
He was in Mission Viejo.
Yep.
And he said to me, hey, is there a place to go grab a bite? And I gave him a couple of recommendations. Like, say, this is one of the places I like to go. Here's another place I like to go. Here's the menu for this place. Here's the menu for that place.
Was there any thought that he was saying we should connect to you?
No, because Michelle's coming, and I was at my Michael's baseball game. Wasn't going to happen like that. So instead,
we were just
going to
show up at their house
randomly on Yelp and just pick something at random.
That actually would be a great bit. Is you just show up at his house one night, just knock on the door.
Should I be offended by that? That he asked me for a recommendation?
Of course,
I
you
gave
should
him
not
two,
be offended.
And then he just went.
Well,
to,
what kind of food was the two places?
I gave him like a sports bar kind of wing place and a nice sit down restaurant with a nice bar. That
okay, so here's let me tell.
But what kind of food at the nice restaurant?
Let me tell the full story.
Like American cuisine.
Yes.
Let me tell the full story because it's not going to help my case. It's actually going to strengthen your case. Okay. First recommendation he gave me, he's like, "Look, just want you to know, this is not like it's not a nice place. It's more just
like a dive bar.
It's like a dive bar, right?
Does Lady Slee seem like
That's
that type?
why I gave him a second.
Okay, so this is why it's not going to help me. So then I told him basically the only reason why she was going to drive an hour and 45 minutes down was, hey, she'll come to the game, but we'll go get some dinner.
So
before.
You were driving separately.
No, we're going together.
Oh.
But just like, why is she going to go to a high school football game? She's got no interest.
I don't know, maybe.
Other than just hang out.
Obviously, you're a little needy, so you couldn't just have a Friday night by yourself. But okay, go ahead. Or maybe reach out to your friends and say, hey, guys, Sedano did that last year when he said to Beto and I, hey, I'm going to the CIF Championship, Mater Day and Bosco. Maybe you guys come with me because I don't need my wife with me every moment of the day.
Try. I don't think the Yelp restaurants matter. I think he's on his own. I
got that. But tell me why then the second place didn't work. Since he had to drive an hour.
There was nothing wrong with the second place, but then, we're getting a little closer. We go on Yelp. There were some other restaurants that look good.
Have it on a fork.
Did you look up this place on Yelp and go, ooh, there's something I don't like?
Impossible.
No,
because the
his
place I
is
recommended, there's
place good.
Absolutely nothing to dislike about it.
She didn't want to go to Chili's?
I like Chili's. I like Chili's, but it was not Chili's.
Sliders.
Babe, Travis recommended this Italian restaurant.
I thought it was American cuisine.
Olive Garden.
It's called Olive Garden.
He's doing his thing.
Olive Garden.
Olivia Garden.
You would have had a good time. It would have been
Hardin.
pretty. It's great setting. The service is pretty good. Great bar. TVs if you wanted to watch the Oregon and Washington game.
So the place you guys ended up that you found on Yelp.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Heaven on a Fork.
That's the name of it, is Heaven on a Fork, and I guess it was Heaven on a Fork as
Was
well.
it?
Freaking really good.
Really?
Yeah, really, really good.
Have you ever been to Heaven on a Fork?
Don't know it.
Persian food, Middle Eastern food.
Oh.
Yeah.
In Mission Viejo?
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, there's Middle Eastern people also in Orange County.
Well, no, in Irvine. I'm not going to get into this. I don't think Viejo is that place. That's all in my head. But I haven't been to Mission Viejo in probably 5 years.
Yeah, it was really good. I knew Trav was going to get mad, too. Like, the whole time I'm even eating, I'm like, you're going to hear from him on Monday. I couldn't even, I could enjoy my meal.
Lie to him.
That you have a personal
I can't do it.
recommendation. A personal recommendation from somebody that you spend a lot of time with every day that went out of his way to say, I think you and Michelle would really like this place, and then you just let the algorithm decide instead.
Yeah, that is kind of a burn.
It's deeply offensive, quite frankly.
I'm going to go listen to Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa.
Real quick. I didn't give you enough credit.
For what?
Yamava. You and Cap hit Mace.
Oh, with the dump truck? That was a rough day all the way around.
Okay, wait. You and Cap did not coordinate who was going to hit or anything.
No, he knows I lead.
But the dude's neck, I saw Mason's neck.
Yeah, can you believe
crack.
this? He actually commented on an Instagram post, Alan Sliwa. He was so inspired by the bit.
It was hilarious.
When I saw it pop down, I was like, is that a fake Alan Sliwa account?
Bootleg Sliwa account.
Bro, it was hilarious. And
do you
then
want
I thought...
Do you want the dump truck? Do you want Cappy and I to dump truck you?
And then I thought Mason was going to call him Ronnie. And I thought it was going to be, if you're in an accident...
Don't give him any ideas.
he was going to get both of you guys.
Wednesday, Cappy will be here in the morning because we're staying at Eve the night before. Yeah. We'll dump truck you.
He's the guy that loves... He loves that stuff. He loves tricks and gimmicks and all that. Tell him what you've turned.
Goodbye now.
Yeah, the more we talked about it, the more offended I'm getting. I think it's escalating. At first, it didn't bother me too much, but now that I think about it, now that I've said it out loud a couple of times, I think that I'm offended. I think that's what it is. Part 2, M's College Football Corner coming up next, plus my victory parade. I'm planning the Super Bowl parade all over again, Slee, for the Rams. It's all coming up. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN. Hey, if you get hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION, right? Why do you call Sweet James? Well, how about this? Best attorneys in America. That's what they've been awarded. Personal injury is all they do. Multiple attorneys looking at every single case to make sure that it's covered. And think about it like this. You know, there's like the league, right? And there's a lot of guys in the league, and some of them are okay, some of them not so much. Well, that could be personal injury attorneys. And then you have all-stars, right? Those are the really good ones. And then you've got MVPs. That's what we're talking about with Sweet James. Decades of experience, the winning record, big settlements, over 500 trials under their belt, a 98% winning percentage. What else could you be looking for? So if you're hurt in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, call the accident attorneys at Sweet James. 1-800-900-0000. 1-800-9-MILLION and sweetjames.com.
The biggest show on
Big news, Laker fans. John Ireland here. You can now stream every Lakers game on the ESPN LA app. Don't miss a second of the action with Michael Thompson and I on the call. Plus, all your live and local Lakers talk every day in the palm of your hand.
You're one tap away from everything Lakers.
You could even win Lakers tickets.
Download the ESPN LA app. And bam!
Download the ESPN LA app at the App Store and Google Play.
It's time for Producer Emily's College Football Corner. Take it away, Producer Em.
All right, y'all. So one conference championship game that we did not have to worry about this weekend was between Michigan and Iowa. So Michigan beat the pants off of Iowa 26-0. But before the game, it was announced that a golf simulator in Cedar Rapids, X-Golf in Cedar Rapids, said that you could book a bay time at 7 p.m. and you would receive a free draft beer until Iowa scores, the game ends, or your bay time ends. So if you're someone going to that golf simulator, you book the bay time for the entirety of the game, They were getting free beer.
They can do it. It's not
Wow.
a beer. It's as many beers as you want.
Yeah.
Wow.
Until Iowa scored, and Iowa did not score. So I did not.
Over under on their first half points. We talked about this on Friday, right?
Yeah,
They're
it was
over under so half a point.
yeah.
They just needed to score, and the bet hits.
Yeah.
But they didn't score in the first half or the second half.
Yeah, and it was great. We love that. But okay, so Sunday morning, all the teams were waiting to see whether or not they were going to make the college football playoff, and they had video cameras at everybody's team awaiting it. We see disappointment and we see joy. We also saw something different out of Michigan. So Michigan finds out obviously that they're number 1 overall, and they're waiting to see who their opponent would be at number 4. And it was announced that it was Alabama, and this is the reaction to the announcement.
Michigan, number 5, heartbroken. Who's number 10?
All right, so what you just heard there was a mixture of...
You didn't hear anything. That's what you heard.
A little ooh and a
Right.
little ah, and then there's people standing up. There's people looking like they're a little bit dejected. It was definitely a different reaction than you would have had if it was going to be Florida State they were going against. So
Or Georgia.
Or Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
So that tells you everything you need to know
Actually,
about
Georgia's probably
the number 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what Jim Harbaugh bought himself, right? That you could have slotted.
What do you mean by that?
You could put 3 and 4 however you want, right? You could have put Texas at 4 and Alabama at 3 if you wanted to. It's not that crazy. I know that Texas beat them, but it was 4 months ago, so you could
Sure.
you could change it.
Yeah.
But the
they were
committee-
8, I think, coming in.
Yeah.
So to jump to number 4, that's
the
4 spots
committee
already.
basically said, all right, you're stealing everybody's signs. You're constantly thumbing your nose at all of the rules. You're suspended, I want to say, for the early part of the season, for the last part of the season. All right, here's Nick Saban in Alabama for you. I think Michigan will probably beat them, but it's far from a slam dunk, right? It's far from a slam dunk.
I'm sure.
Having to go up against a Nick Saban team that has a lot of time to prepare.
Yeah.
It can get their ducks in a row, get as healthy as they want to do it. That, I think, is a tougher game for them than if you would have given them Washington or Texas. I don't think there's any question about it.
If you would have shown probably 10 more seconds of that video, Harbaugh's probably telling these guys, let's get in the weight room and let's go ahead and start practicing because we got Bama coming up.
Well, he's only got 1 or 2 college football games left, and then he's probably going to the NFL. It seems like that's the consensus for him, that this is his last hurrah.
This is it? Final one?
This is their 3rd year in a row in the CFP playoff, and good for them.
Lost in semis both.
Uh-huh. And
Right,
now
yeah.
all of a sudden they've got a chance to go to the final for the first time in a long time, and you got to go through
Or
Alabama
to lose
do it.
3 in the semis 3 years
And
in a row.
again, no shame in losing. It's Alabama. They lost 1 game. They lost 1 game to another team that's in the CFP. Their resume is pretty darn. They had some weird ones along the way, but here they are. It is a really tough
crazy.
draw.
I swear, if 6-7 weeks ago, if you'd have told me Alabama's going to be in the college football championship, I'm like, you're freaking crazy. It ain't happening. Especially, a lot of these games that they won as well, it's not like they were – it's not the Bama team that you're accustomed to. You're just accustomed to them winning big margins and everything else. And, of course, the Auburn game is the game that opened the door and took it from
they
there.
benched Jalen Milroe early in the season. They just benched him. They didn't think he was playing well enough. That they put him that UCF game that they really struggled to put them away until USF. Thank you. Until the very last part of that game, they started cycling through quarterbacks because and now the only reason they're kind of where they are is because Milroe got it figured out, and he's been terrific ever since then. That this is what Nick Saban does. His teams always get better.
You better kill him.
Because
if
you
you
better
don't,
kill him is right.
Double tap. You got to do a zombie.
I literally kept texting that with my buddies this weekend. We're talking about before they even played Georgia. It was like, I can't believe they're playing Georgia. And then that game started, and once it was 7-0 Georgia, you're like, okay, hey, maybe Georgia's going to handle business. I know we talked about it on Friday. I thought Georgia was going to beat them.
The field on them in that opening drive.
Yep.
Like they just, it was just bang, 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 touchdown. You're like,
after that,
nothing.
Yeah.
It was. He knows what he's doing, and he gets really good players, and he makes them better.
Yeah.
And they don't make a ton of mistakes. They're pretty darn disciplined. That he's just a really good football coach, and you give him nothing but 4- and 5-star guys, they're going to beat just about everybody, just about every time.
All right, I'm going to read this on Twitter because I know if I don't, you will. Big E, hey Trav, can you recommend a good steakhouse in Dana Point so I can ignore it and go get tacos in Santa Ana. Thanks for the advice.
It's kind of what it felt like. That's it. Just it informs. Like, we all kind of have this idea of how other people think of us in our minds, and then sometimes you get something that is just very opposite of how you thought it was going to be. And you're like, I need to recalibrate that. Let me fill that in a little differently.
I asked for a recommendation, right?
Yes,
I did. Not like you said, hey, I know some places. Yeah.
No, and then I because I am a really good guy, I realized the first place I suggested to you, I knew Michelle would not like that place.
You texted me.
So I said to her, hey, Slee, just so you know.
Hey, Al, it's me. It's Trav. We do the show together.
This is not a place for you guys. For you would have liked it. But for like a date night kind of situation, not the place you want to go. And I said, here's a good spot. It's very pretty, like beautiful surroundings. Pretty good food, beautiful bar, good TVs, good service, all the 10 minutes from Mission Viejo High School. I'll just pick something random off.
Probably not, man. You messed up.
Probably not going for a while, right? This one's probably going to.
See, the one time we went to Michael's house, he recommended a place where we met before the thing.
Stillwater Cafe.
Nice.
Yeah. It was great. It was cool. Thank you for meeting me there and enjoying the afternoon together. It was a nice afternoon.
Jorge, give me some suggestions.
Nah, I'm good, bro.
Yeah, sometimes you just kind of get a little bit of information that informs how the other person feels about this whole thing. Factor Caps coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN. Hey, Next Gen, you know it, the official AC Heat and Plumbing Company of SoCal sports fans. That's right, Next Gen, the best in the business. The best in the business. How do I know? Well, I've had them out to the house. They've done it for me, and there are thousands of 5-star reviews online to prove it. And right now, you can get a 28-point full heat and AC safety inspection and tune-up, just $44 limited, only through December 30th. That's right, $44 to ensure that your system stays running strong all year long. They'll even throw in a free air filter at no extra charge. It's hot one day, it's cold the next. Make sure that your system is at its absolute best. And if you're dealing with that slow drain in the house, we unfortunately have one of those in your house, right? How about a drain cleaning with camera inspection? Also just $44. This is never before seen pricing. Call 833-3NEXTGEN. That's 833-3NEXGEN. If you're concerned about air quality in your home or have allergy problems, call NextGen and breathe easy with indoor air quality solutions to fit any budget. One more time, 833-3NEXTGEN or visit nextgenaironplumbing.com to schedule online.
Guys, if Sedano is claiming two things can be true at one time, then also my therapist can claim it. Because my therapist back in Connecticut used to tell me that all the time. It's just a saying.
It's an old saying.
Exactly. It does not belong to anybody.
Saying. Yes, indeed.
Just I had to put it out there. So, last night after I got home from the game, we finished up our post game around like 7-ish, and so I got home and I was made myself dinner, and then I went up to my room to like work on the show this morning. And so I was doing my work, and it's 7:30, and I hear someone weed whacking. Complete darkness, very loud weed whacking for about an hour and a half. So it was from 7:30 until 9 p.m.
Yeah,
weed whacking their yard.
Lives on
and
acres.
Again, complete darkness. And so then I tweeted out, I was like, I'm just confounded by my neighbor weed whacking at this time. And and then I was getting gaslit by seeing this is a normal occurrence. Okay, so it is weird to weed whack at 7:30 at night. Travis, Fetch Cap. Again, in complete darkness.
It's fact that it's weird, but it's not as weird as you're making it out to be. Maybe the person that was weed whacking works a lot, and when the sun is out, he's or she is busy.
Yep. Sunday got to get it done, before the next week starts.
The lawn
don't work every single day of the week.
The lawn needed attention, and this is when he or she had some time to attend to it. Had a flashlight, maybe like a miner's helmet with one of the lights on it or something. It's odd, but it's not quite as odd as I think you think it is.
Al?
Fact, it's odd. However, I don't think I am going to Twitter, and I'm telling everyone.
It's okay, my friends weren't responding, so I had to go to Twitter.
No, I'm joking with you. But I think it is odd. At the end of the day, I think anytime you're doing chores for outside, you probably need some light to do it. Unless you're doing something like in the garage, you can be building some whatever it is. But outside with a weed whacker, and it's not like we're talking Jorge, wasn't out there for like 10, 15 minutes. Hour and a half is putting in work.
Are you being realistic, or are you exaggerating a little?
Not exaggerating. Yeah. I kept on looking at my watch. I was like, he's still going. And obviously, at 7:30 was when I noticed it. It could have been happening earlier. So, Jorge, what do you think?
A little bit odd.
It is odd, but I'll tell you something. I'd rather see and hear the guy do it at night than early in the morning.
No question.
That's true.
I'd rather have, finish up, dude.
Yeah, not at 7 a.m.
Exactly.
I think 10's the cutoff for evening. As the latest you could probably make a lot of noise is preferably 10 is the.
There is an army of lawnmowers / leaf blowers / trimmers that fire up at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning on my street. It's like it's a war going on.
But you've been up since 4 a.m.
Well, honestly, it used to bother me a lot more than it does now because I'm not in that deep sleep. But Jorge, you're right. Yeah. Much better at night than in the morning.
All right, so on Sunday morning, in honor of the college football playoff ranking being released, there's going to be a Pop-Tart Bowl this week, this bowl season. And so the Pop-Tart Bowl decided to do their Pop-Tart ranking, okay? So this is their ranking. So the dramatic ESPN music. Number 1 is strawberry.
Okay.
Number 2 is brown sugar cinnamon. Blech. Number 3 is s'mores. And number 4 is raspberry. Okay.
What was number 1? Strawberry?
Number 1 is strawberry. So you agree with this Pop-Tart ranking. Alan, Fetcher Cap.
Cap, I'm not we said brown sugars. What'd you say the second one was?
Brown sugar is 2.
Okay. I like I'm a fan of the blueberries, the raspberries. I think those are the ones that any of the berries I'm good with. I don't get the brown sugar cinnamon one. That wouldn't be in my top 4.
Trav?
No, the brown sugar is fine. Brown sugar, cinnamon, not fine for me.
Right, for you.
Right, so this is very personal to me. I don't
the committee
eat
got
things
it wrong.
that are cinnamon flavored. That is way too high for anything that's a cinnamon-based taste. I don't hate the strawberry one. All of the berry ones, strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, they're all basically the same. There's no discernible difference. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. But Pop-Tarts doesn't advertise on the show, right?
No.
You can miss me with Pop-Tarts, just generally speaking. I don't have to have those things.
Yeah, who would be the fifth spot that's so angry that they got left out of this?
Cherry.
Yeah,
Chocolate.
cherry. Yeah, Jorge, what do you think?
Chocolate fudge.
Oh, yeah.
It can make the case to the committee that they got screwed. They're going to write to
their
They were undefeated.
They have Oreo. They have...
no.
We have hot fudge sundae.
I like the s'mores a lot. I used to destroy s'mores Pop-Tarts when I was in high school for breakfast
there's
in
a
the morning.
cinnamon roll. You would love that one there.
All right, so last night after his incredible performance, his comeback, everything, Puka Nacua took to the locker room, and I just found it funny because of the way that he chooses to say Cooper Kupp in this video. So I'm going to play from his Instagram live last night, Puka Nacua.
We got big Rick Heaps in the building. Yeah. How about them Rams? Yeah, and we got the one and only Cooper Kupp.
So now you can only say Cooper Kupp like that. Jorge Petrocap.
Oh, fact. And then I have something. You guys should challenge JB next time you guys talk to him. Hey, we dare you. If he scores, he's got to call.
Got to get it in there like that.
He's got to get it in like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Nice. So let's see if he's up for the challenge. But I like it.
Trav?
Can you play it for me one more time?
We got big Rick Heaps in the building. Yeah. How about them Rams? Yeah, and we got the one and only Cooper Kupp.
Okay. I love it, first of all. I'm going to try to do it. I know I won't. But I like the cup part of it more than the Cooper.
He was getting more comfortable.
He doesn't even put the P's in there. It's just Cooper. Like, there's no P sound at the end of it. It's tremendous. I love it.
Tyler Higbee was with him, too, who was the first shout out in that. So
that's
Al?
what he was saying? It was okay.
Yeah. Al?
In fact, I like it. I like even better than Puka doing his thing is Cooper Kupp's reaction which was no reaction
Stone face.
at all. He's
it's
just
very
standing
Cooper
there.
Kupp.
I was gonna say Cooper's just standing there like, what the hell's going on right here? Like, what's Puka doing?
Thanks, buddy.
Yep, and then that's it. The video just ends right there. So no, it was good. It was entertaining, and Puka's an absolute baller, so the man can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more when we talk about the game. But it is a nice change of pace to have the Rams. Aaron Donald looked happy. Puka Nacua was really happy. It was definitely a great change of pace.
There was some levity to that game yesterday towards the end, like just a lightness and enthusiasm, a little joie de vivre, shall you say, about what they had. That even after the Seattle game, it was more like, man, we escaped that. Arizona, it's like, yeah, those guys are terrible. This was, we just beat a really good team, beat them pretty soundly.
Yep.
And that little glimmer, Al, of, hey, are we good? I don't think they're great, but they might be good.
And I'm not saying it wasn't a close game because it was, but the fourth quarter they took it over.
16 points.
So there was also
most in a quarter all season.
So there was also this: you're not hanging on the edge to figure out who's going to eventually win that game. They felt good with obviously plenty of time left on the clock.
All right. So Riz was named the Webster Dictionary Word of the Year. So Riz is short for charisma. So you might have Riz if you can riz up a gal. So you have Riz. Trav, after Cap.
I have a certain type that not in the way that I think that you're talking about, but
you can riz up Suze.
No. I am a confident person. I am somebody that is comfortable in their own skin, which I think for most people is appealing. Right, I'm not trying too hard, which I think is if you're talking about like swag and that kind of thing, I have none of that.
There's different variations of Riz.
But if it's just like I'm comfortable with myself and you can kind of take it or leave it, I've got that.
Al?
Fact: when there's liquor or there's other substances involved,
you have the beautiful lady Slee, so you got some Riz.
100%. But I think like anything, like you were just saying, Trav, it's different if you're. Circumstances are different, and when you are a couple drinks deep or something like that, it's like things just they're different, they're looser, but it needs substances to get to that level.
Jorge?
I'm with the guys. I think we all have levels of this, and then I know we have a 360 camera booth business, Carlo and I. So this weekend we have stickers, right? Our stickers have QR codes, and if you guys want to, hire us, you guys can look us up at 360 JK360 Media on Instagram. But one of the girls was like, "Hey, how do I follow you?" I was like, "Hey, girl, you can." I handed the sticker, and I'm like, "You can slide into my DMs." So she goes, "Whoa!" She's like that. So there's levels of when to use it, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we all do it
You get different types as you hit different like kind of milestones in your life. There's Riz when you're in high school or college, which is very different than, or Riz is a young single person in their late 20s, 30s. And then there's just, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna do what I like because I like it, and that's
there's
that.
Gary from the Golden Bachelor, Riz.
For sure.
It's got different stuff. So I'm not going to do the factor cap here. Maybe we can answer on the other side. But I'm going to play 2 calls from the Rams game yesterday that were just hilarious. They're both from John Hussey, who is the referee for the game yesterday. And the first one was about the call. It was Amari Cooper's catch, correct?
Yep.
So this is the John Hussey calling the Amari Cooper catch.
To the receiver's leg hitting out of bounds, his butt cheek hit inbound.
Yep, butt cheek.
As a result, it's a catch.
Let him know, Hussey.
And a first down.
Let's go.
His butt cheek was in bounds, and then this was also at the end of the game when Cleveland had challenged a catch by Demarcus Robinson.
After reviewing the play, the receiver clearly caught the ball in bounds.
All right, so my factor cap, which you can answer on the other side, is we want to see refs talk like this more. So you guys can answer that on the other side.
We got that coming up. Plus, we'll talk more about how the offense for the Rams is running through a very different person than it was, at least it was supposed to be at the start of the season. It's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. I hit on Prize Picks yesterday, Slee, over on Joe Flacco, over on Matthew Stafford, and I won my Prize Picks bet. That's how easy it is to do, right? The best daily fantasy sports site going right now because you just pick between 2 and 6 players and you can win up to 25 times your money. You got to put that Prize Picks app on your phone. For instance, Monday Night Football tonight. Jake Browning, do you like more or less than 220.5 yards? Trevor Lawrence, more or less than 246.5 yards. You make your picks, you submit, and you can win big at Prize Picks.
All right, Trav's got you covered in the NFL. I got a couple NBA picks I'm gonna get at here in a second. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Like Trav mentioned, instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you could pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and just watch the winnings roll in from there. Brandon Ingram, tonight, 22.5 points, more or less, against the Sacramento Kings. Kings don't play defense. I'm going to go more. Julius Randle against Milwaukee, 21.5 points, more or less. I'll go less. Milwaukee does play defense. Takes about 60 seconds to submit your entry. Go to PrizePicks.com/710. Use that code 710 for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks.com/710. Use that code 710 for a first deposit match of up to $100.
710 ESPN.
At ESPN Los Angeles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch.
LA's mega sports station.
710 ESPN. Your chance to win $1 million from 710 ESPN. $1 Million Mondays, presented by Hollywood Park Casino.
$1 Million Mondays.
Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
$1 Million Mondays are back on 710, and I think we got caller number 7, Jack. Are you ready, partner? Let's find out who's caller number 7.
All right, caller number 7 is Rudy Espinosa from Pomona. Rudy, congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Trav.
You got it. All right, so you know how this works. You need to make a Super Bowl prediction. You need to pick an AFC team, an NFC team. Give us the final score of who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, and you got a chance to win $1 million.
All right, NFC will be the Rams, and versus Ravens in the AFC.
Okay. What's the score?
Rams 34, Ravens 31.
All right, the Rams over the Ravens, 34-31. That's your call, Rudy?
Yeah, I'm a Rams fan. You know, I got to have hope. I got to believe.
Absolutely. All right, so good luck with your pick. Yeah.
Real quick, I don't know if you remember, I saw you there yesterday at the game. I was with my son. I saw you it was the first game.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations, Rudy. Very cool.
Man, thank you. Thank you.
You're on a heater. You got to go to the game, you got to bring your kid, and now you got a chance to win $1 million, and you will win tickets for another game coming up in just a bit. That's $1 Million Mondays on 710 ESPN, presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play. Rudy has the Rams over the Ravens 34-30. We got a little Super Bowl preview for Rudy on Sunday.
Part of me was thinking to myself, is he predicting this upcoming week, or does he know that this is it's a Super Bowl?
Ravens are a virtual lock to make the playoffs, so I like, and they might be the number 1 seed.
And to be honest, the AFC, I don't think you really make too strong of a case on anybody right now. I mean,
I agree.
Are you making and I'm not saying you're not going to have favorites, but are you saying, and you might just lean towards the Chiefs because it's the Chiefs and Mahomes in the playoffs, but there's no lock.
If I had to pick somebody right now,
here's the problem here's the problem with just those two teams right there. One team has continued to prove they can make it happen in the playoffs. Another team has not proved they can make it happen in the playoffs. That's the problem, and maybe it changes this year.
You're not buying Miami at all? Miami looked pretty, again, they played a bad team yesterday. They played Washington.
No, they're putting up points.
When they play bad teams, they stomp them. When they play good teams, not so much.
Okay, you said you're not buying them. Honestly, I'm not buying them. Are you?
Miami?
Yeah.
No.
When I say buying, what I mean, that's the squad in the AFC. I have hesitation. I think this is just a natural thing. When a team hasn't been there, when you haven't seen them actually get to the AFC Championship or represent the AFC, it's tough for me to pick them.
If you told me you have to bet on an AFC team right now, I'd still pick Kansas City.
Yeah, I would too.
I still would, because of Andy Reid, because of Patrick Mahomes, because of Travis Kelce. Those are the guys that I have the most faith in. I don't. This could be the first time, really, in Patrick Mahomes' entire I know he didn't play much his rookie year, but since he's become a starter of that team, the worst they've done is get to the AFC Championship.
That's crazy.
That's the worst that they've done.
And they've had home field for every single AFC Championship.
And you have to also put into play how much Taylor Swift will have an impact too.
Sure. I think the biggest impact is the lack of Eric Bieniemy there, because Eric Bieniemy leaves and Matt Nagy comes in and their offense looks like crap.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
And also, the rich just got richer, so the Eagles have signed All-Pro Shaquille Leonard to a 1-year deal with the Eagles. So Shaq Leonard was off on waivers released from the Colts and picked up by the Eagles.
All right, so the Eagles needed to shake things up a little bit after what happened to them yesterday. I've got a quick question for you. I want to read a quick tweet, and then we can get to some breaking Dodger news here in just 1 second. Hovik on Twitter in the Trav and Slick community writes, are you going to be that neighbor that walks around the neighborhood and puts little notes on car, your registration is due, on trash bins, your trash bins need to go in, front yard grass needs to be mowed, your dog barked 13 times last night?
No, I'm not that person, because I do think that's annoying. But, okay, remember that situation where the person blocked our driveway?
Yep.
So, yes, I put a note on that car that time.
As you should.
Yes, I might be annoyed by something, but I'm not going to go and address it with the people.
The reason I bring it up is because there's
I'm going to put notes.
Scenario.
I'm ready.
I have a neighbor that has their house decorated for Christmas. Looks very nice. But one of their elements of their Christmas decorations is there's a soundtrack. Okay?
Hi, neighbor.
And it's not loud, but you can hear it in my house. And it doesn't go off.
What do you mean it doesn't go off?
That.
Okay, no, I'm.
So just a little jingle from the box.
It's not just the music; it's lyrics too. It's like I wish Jingle
Feliz
Bells,
Navidad.
Frosty the Snowman, Feliz Navidad, all of them, right? Like all of those.
You also live in a moated neighborhood. I don't live in that same neighborhood.
24/7. It does not go off.
Yeah.
I woke up in the middle of the night because I'm an old man. And I blindly walked to the bathroom, and our bathroom window is open. I can hear it clear as a bell. It's 4:00 in the morning. I can't imagine what the two neighbors on each side are doing.
Let's put. I mean, we had weed whacking going on yesterday at 7:30 at night. We have this situation here. That's not okay. That's not okay. It's not okay.
Like loud, but it's loud enough.
Okay, when you say it's not loud, it's loud enough. When you are trying to sleep, can you hear it?
Not in my room, but if you were in a bedroom in the front part of the house, you absolutely could hear it.
Cut the cord, blame a squirrel or something.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to.
That's not okay.
Do you know them at all? Have you ever talked to them? No.
A little bit. They're kind of grumpy.
Right.
They're kind of
apparently
a
not.
grumpy.
They're playing music all the way till
they got little kids. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Like just turn it off at 10 or 11 or whatever it is. But 4 a.m. when I get up to
in your neighborhood, like the SWAT team's not coming in at 4 a.m.
I kind of wish they would. I mean,
what the hell is going on here?
Let's knock this thing out. I have to say something, right? Or more to the point, I'll make Susan say so. I'm not going to do it.
I think that's acceptable if they're making noise loud enough to be heard past 11 p.m.
Yeah, you turn off like whatever you have typically, right? If you have certain things, even around the holidays, nobody's usually okay. If you leave the lights on, that's fine. But if you have something like that, there's a certain time at night where I'm unplugging this thing. I'm turning it off.
Remember that Super Bowl, the Rams Super Bowl, when Dr. Dre and everybody performed?
Yeah.
So during halftime, I turn it up because it's the halftime show,
Sure.
right? My neighbor comes and she knocks on the door. She's like, hey, I have a headache. Can you turn it down? That started war for me.
Ooh.
Because now, every time she's making noise after 10, 11, hey, no, I tap on the, she's upstairs. So I tap on my ceiling so she can hear it. And then she would just ignore me. So I emailed, the leasing office or whatever. And then they're like, okay, we'll make sure. Ever since I did that at 10:30ish, TV's off.
There you go.
Like,
you win.
Exactly.
She should have let you listen to 50 Cent hanging from that apparatus.
It was at 5 p.m., like it's reasonable.
On Super Bowl Sunday.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Come on. Do we leave a note? Do we knock on the door? What do we do?
Report it.
Knock on the door, right?
I call the cops.
Yeah, I would knock on the door.
All right, breaking news in Dodgerland. Not that, but it's actually pretty interesting. That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
The biggest show on the radio.
Out to you, T-Rush. What's going on with your knee, bro?
Sore. I'm old, fat, kind of ugly, too.
Okay, stop. Never mind. I'm not going to ask you about your knee anymore. Jesus.
Well, you asked.
I got like a list of 7 things that are. You get up.
I'm an explainer.
You get up, and the first probably 2 steps, I'm like, Chad's not going to make it out of the studio.
Did you go bowling?
I
was like that after my
Dude,
bowling
it's
too.
far worse than that, but we'll get to that
Okay,
in a
so
second.
I think you said last week you went on more kind of extended walks.
I walked a little bit longer than I usually do, and I feel like I went through Navy SEAL training.
You look like somebody is in week 15 of the NFL season and
I'm not kidding
has
you.
started every game as a running back.
So Susan and I will take a walk a couple times a week, right? And we usually walk for somewhere between a half hour, 45 minutes typically. This time we walked for like an hour and 15 minutes, a little bit longer.
No, it's good. That's probably 4 miles right there.
It was. Yeah, it's about exactly what it was. It was a nice, long, steady walk, pretty flat, a little bit up at the end, but
there was one speed bump.
It was nothing. I woke up the next morning like I got Tanya Hardinged.
Okay, but
my knee is just killing me.
But that was probably 4 or 5 days ago now.
At least
still
maybe
bothering
more.
You like that?
It's gotten worse, and now because I'm limping, now my right knee is starting to hurt.
Because you overcompensated, right?
Yeah. So it's like this little downward spiral I got going on right now. So Dave Roberts was on MLB Network earlier today, and was talking about Mookie Betts and how they plan on using him for this upcoming season.
It's pretty safe to say that number 50, Mookie Betts, is going to be our everyday second baseman. And it's one of those things where he's a gold glover out in right field. But I think that, when you're talking about putting together a roster and someone who can be so offensive at second base, you can get more games out of him if he is playing second base. And obviously with the signing of Jason Hayward to put him out there in right field, to go out there and play versus right-handed pitching and to play gold glove right field, it just makes our club better. So now when you get a happy Mookie Betts, a guy that can post and play 160 games, it makes the Dodgers much better. So it's pretty much a no-brainer.
When the idea got floated last year that they're going to use Mookie in the infield,
didn't like it, right?
I didn't like it at all because I thought you're taking away, like you just heard Dave Roberts say, a gold glove right fielder to go have a guy play some infield because he kind of wants to play some infield. And I didn't like it.
Wanted the action, wanted to be more involved.
It just seemed like he just wanted to do it because he wanted to do it, right? Well, turns out he's really good there. Not that he can do it, but he's very, very good at it. It didn't affect his offense at all. I think, like he said, this is a guy that's going to play 140, 150, 155 games. He plays virtually every single day. Mm-hmm. And it does. And the reason they can do this is because Jason Hayward became a quality major league player again. Remember, they got him for virtually nothing last season. Yeah. And him and Peralta both. Peralta faded pretty hard in the second half of the season. But Hayward really didn't. Hayward was pretty rock solid all season long. So you put him in right field or left field and play a platoon game. Outman's going to be in center. You probably are going to match up with whatever corner outfield spot that you don't have. But Mookie in the infield, you're getting a 30-plus home run guy at second base. You assume Lux drops back in at the shortstop spot.
Yeah.
Who knows what Ohtani, if he comes, if you get J.D. Martinez, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. But something that I really didn't like a year ago makes perfect sense now.
Yeah, I think the part of the reason was the risk of injury, right? The part of the reason was you're playing in a position that you're not technically accustomed to, that your risk of injury probably goes up. You're arguably the best right fielder in all of baseball, so why are you leaving a position where you absolutely shine in? I don't know what all the effects are going to be, but if the Dodgers think that just makes them more effective because they have other pieces to play, that's the thing that it comes down to. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if he's coming up to second, do you have a plug? You have somebody else you can plug in? And the answer is
their secret
yes.
sauce for the last few years, let me be very clear, their regular season secret sauce has been their ability to play a bunch I'm trying to think, other than Freddie Freeman, there really isn't anybody that's locked into one spot. Everybody else can play multiple positions. Like even Will Smith DHs some days, right? Max Muncy can play third base, he can play second base, he can play first base, he can DH. Mookie can play both middle infield positions. You can put him in center. You can put him in right. They really don't have anybody that's locked into just one spot. Really,
Outman rotate at all?
He could play all three outfield positions in his sleep easily.
But they're predominantly using him.
He's in center 85% of the time, but you can move. Freddie's really the only guy And it wasn't just that you could put Mookie in the middle of the infield and get by. He's really good at it. Like my fear from injury, Al, was, hey, you haven't played middle infielder from high school or your early minor league days.
And you're so great at right.
Mm-hmm. It just fits. It just makes a whole bunch of sense. It also means they're probably getting ready to do something else in the outfield. Now, Ohtani doesn't play the outfield, but we'll see what they do. They also signed Joe Kelly, which I thought was a really good signing, because Kelly is the one guy on the team, and I think this is the best way that I can come to describe this. Kelly's the guy on the team that'll start a fight. You know what I mean? Like, he's the guy on the team. We go back to the Carlos Correa days, and with the pouty face and nice swing B, all of these things, that he doesn't give a damn.
Last year, too. You don't have to go that far. Remember against the Padres when Tatis was up?
Sure.
He had some moments where, you're right, kind of adds this he's
edgy.
This element that not too many of these Dodger players represent.
Freddie Freeman's not starting a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Mookie Betts is not starting a fight. Max Muncy's not starting a fight, right? They're professionals. They're going out there. They're going to do their business. They're going to play really hard. They're going to play really well. Kelly will say something. He'll chirp. He'll bark back. He's not just going to sit there and throw his next pitch. He engages. They need that. And, oh, by the way, he's really good. Mm-hmm. He's still a very effective major league pitcher. I thought that was a nice signing for them.
Yeah, it's to hear anything about the Dodgers, I think at this point, it's interesting, but I think everybody, like the rest of Major League Baseball, is just kind of sitting there like, okay, so Shohei, what's the plan here? What's
supposed to happen this week, right?
Yeah, that's what we saw.
Everybody seems to be kind of leaning towards sooner than later.
Who are you as we kind of sit here? And they've, in a sense, I don't know how much to even pay attention to some of these reports, but who are you looking at and saying, okay, if Dodgers have a really good chance of getting him, is it still the same teams that we were talking about in the past that you still have a lot of concern? Oh my gosh, if he went here or he went there, is it still the same teams?
So if you listen to the people that are talking about this, it's down to 4. Like, a lot of them have been
heard. Atlanta today is another
Atlanta's
one.
Off the list. The Mets are off the
Atlanta
list.
Off the list? I thought Atlanta was still one of the ones that had a shot.
The 4 that keep getting talked about, obviously the Dodgers and the Angels, because the team that he was on and the team that
I actually don't believe that the Angels.
Apparently they're still in it.
Okay.
And then the Blue Jays and the Mariners. That those are the other 2 teams that are still kind of in the mix at this point. That the Giants have already kind of resigned themselves to the fact that it's very unlikely to be them. Never say never to any of these things, but that you're down to a very small group of 4 teams. And really, when you really listen to it, the 2 that seem the most likely are the Dodgers and Toronto. The Toronto kind of came from out of left field to they're right there next to the Dodgers, probably the second choice.
You know what that tells me?
The Dodgers. Yeah.
It really does.
I'm trying to stay in my shoes, Al, because I don't want to jinx it.
Just if I told you, and I don't even have to go a couple months ago, I could just go to this predicament right now. If I'm Shohei Ohtani and I'm trying to make a decision between, and this is what my goals are and this is what I want to accomplish. I don't care about the money because I'm going to get the money. No one's going to shortchange Shohei Ohtani. And if they do, you got to be so disrespectful and an idiot if you're going to do it. You're not going to get him, right? So I think the money part doesn't really matter. Let's go through the 4 teams that you just mentioned, okay? If the Angels are still on that list, the only reason why the Angels might still be on that list is just merely he's not actually thinking of playing for the Angels, but just out of courtesy, it's like, okay, hey, I'll get back with you guys.
Could be that
towards the end, or my lease doesn't end for another 30 days, and I need a second to get all my stuff out.
I hope that's what it is.
I need to get a second to get all my stuff out.
I want to get his deposit back.
So then now we're down to 3 teams, if it's the teams that you're talking about. The Mariners, Toronto, and the Dodgers. And my goal is I want to join a team that I feel like is going to give me the best shot to win multiple years in a row. The organization that I feel like I have the best chance not to make 1 playoff run, not to make 2 playoff runs. Wherever I'm signing, if I'm signing a 10-year deal or whatever the amount of years are, can I make it to the playoffs 7 out of 10? Okay, that seems pretty realistic for the Dodgers.
Sure it does. I'd like to know the 3 times they didn't make it. I want to know what happened in those 3 years.
And I'm just being, just take someone who's never been to the playoffs, right? That's never been in this predicament in Major League Baseball. Okay, Seattle's been good for a hot second.
Yeah.
It's not like they have this track record of, oh my gosh, look how good. Now, Seattle, I think from the beginning, because it's a West Coast team, I think, there are ties to the Japanese community up there.
Seattle, yeah.
I think there are legitimate ties there. But if you're saying it's coming down to Toronto and the Dodgers, it doesn't really sound like it's coming down to anything.
Well, who knows, right? This
Toronto,
is the part.
You are representing all of Canada.
Yeah.
You could put it that way.
But as a Japanese person, do I care about that? You know
Probably
what I mean?
not.
Yeah.
Unless it's the international something going on from that perspective.
Could be. I really do think he's going to sign with the Dodgers. I just the only reason I'm not jumping in with both feet is because no one knows anything about this man. He hasn't talked to the media since August 9th.
2009.
Yeah, I mean, he hadn't said something in a really long time. So to try to speculate what he wants, what he's thinking, I think is a fool's errand. I don't think any of us know. We can only kind of try to put ourselves in these things. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to come down to money because the money is going to be there wherever he decides to go. And you said something a minute ago that I wrote down, that he's trying to make his decision. I have a really hard time believing that he hasn't already made
know.
It, right? That maybe, okay, and I'll just pick him. I want to go to L.A. I want to play for the Dodgers, but I think I can squeeze a little more. And I'm not even talking about money necessarily. Maybe it is money. Maybe it's just a concession over something small that he wants, or a suite, or air travel, whatever it might be.
Sure.
Who knows what it is? But if I kind of just make them sweat it a little bit more, maybe I can get whatever it is I want. I would think he can get whatever he wants. I would think if the Dodgers and the Ohtani team were in a room and they said, this is what we want. The Dodgers would say, that sounds great. Here's exactly what you just asked for in a pen. Why don't you sign this? I don't think it's going to come down to I don't know if we can do that. I just really don't think they're going to lose out on a smaller amount of money or some sort of perk that he wants that they're unwilling to give him. I just don't see that.
This is the only team, and there was something that came out earlier. So John Morosi, if I'm saying that right, MLB Insider, this is what he said, and this is the only team where I could say, okay, well, that's interesting. One team that I think we have not been giving enough attention to in all this is the Atlanta Braves. Shohei, in looking at his options, he has prioritized teams that have a chance to win sustainability. So that if you're telling me that it came down to the Braves and the Dodgers, now I'm listening when it comes to what can I do over the next 10 years? And there's only a handful of organizations that you could trust out there and say, hey, they're good. They're pretty good every single year. Hey, they're pretty good every single year. That's why I kind of hesitate with some of the other teams that are mentioned.
Toronto kind of falls. They have not been in it for 10 years in a row, but you look at Bo Bichette, you look at Kevin Biggio, you look at Vlad Jr., you look at a guy like Ohtani. They are really young and very, very good positionally. Their pitching staff, not quite as built out as the rest of their roster, but that Toronto team, from an offensive perspective, they're all all-stars, and they're all on the right side of 30 years old. They are in a really good spot. If you're projecting forward, that's not a bad spot.
I agree, but I'm going to go back to, if I said right now, there's a good chance that you look at, all right, and it's not that the Blue Jays aren't winning. I think the last 3 years they're winning 90-plus games.
They're a good team.
It's not that they're not winning. But I'm just saying that look at the Braves every year. Look at the Dodgers every year. There's a consistency with those two franchises that I could see what the attraction is, because you're going to get everything. He's got nothing else to worry about. He doesn't got to worry about the money, any of that stuff. He was with the Angels for 6 years. The thing missing with the Angels is playing competitive baseball past July 1st.
Don't forget that they went all in last year and then immediately went into a death spiral.
Hey, I think they won 2. Right out after the All-Star break.
Extraordinary. We're all in, and they're kind of right there, and then fast forward 2 weeks later, and they're out of it.
Jorge's got a good point here.
But if Outman makes that cash,
no, not even Outman. Now you're asking yourself, if you're Ohtani, do I want that as my center fielder? Look what he did to Kershaw.
Puka Nacua set a record yesterday. Puka Nacua has become something that I did not think was possible this quickly in his NFL career. It's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. Hey, get real and keep it real this holiday season by buying real Christmas trees. Did you know that buying real Christmas trees helps save the American Christmas tree farming industry? For every 10 Christmas trees planted, an acre of land is saved, and so are American farmers' jobs. Plus, buying real Christmas trees helps keep real holiday memories alive while helping our environment. So, buy real Christmas trees this holiday season at Lowe's or wherever Christmas trees are sold. Get more information online at getrealkeepitreal.com.
Hey, it's Corporate Greg.
Travis and Sliwa.
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No. Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
Lindsay just texted me a few minutes ago. She says that I anonymously place a timer on their front door with a, hey, here's this for your music, so it'll go off at a reasonable time. It's not a bad way to do it.
$10.
It's definitely a way to do it.
Yeah. I like your idea, Jorge. Just
cut the cord.
electricity.
Cut the cord. Hey, blame a squirrel. Hey.
Well, cut the cord, not the whole house. You want like all the electricity.
No, I'm not going to go to their circuit breaker and throw all the switches, but
Nah,
you know,
just a little music box wherever
I'm
that is.
I'm shocked the HOA hasn't come around and said, guys.
I heard it this weekend, and then
we
when
don't do that here.
I left the house this morning about 5:40, and
but you were up
it was
for 3
playing.
hours.
Yeah, why don't you tell the HOA? That's their whole point of it, right?
I'm not. This is going to blow my cover a little bit. I wouldn't even know how to do that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
HOA.com /
like the only thing I know about HOA is that every month I get a bill.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And,
but
and
they're
we
supposed
pay it.
to like
that
you
bill
know
has a phone number.
Probably,
Yeah, it
right?
does.
And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're trying to pay us again? If not, beat it. That's the only thing that phone number is probably good
But yeah,
for.
they're supposed to police and make sure everything is uniform and nice looking,
Yeah.
and that adds to that.
They're pretty good at that, but they're apparently you can play music 24/7.
I call the cops.
It's nice music. It's Christmas music. It's just, and it's like if it were loud, I think it would be like genuinely people like, hey, you got to knock.
What
that
if you
off.
get your own Christmas setup? If you have
Go like
music
full
playing
Griswolds with all the
and
lights.
go a lot louder to drown out theirs.
Not a bad way to do it. This was M's Factor Cap on the way out the door. Yesterday, John Hussey was the referee for the Rams and the Browns, and he had a couple of pretty good moments. This was him using the word butt cheek to describe Amari Cooper's catch.
To the receiver's leg, hitting out of bounds, his butt cheek hit inbound.
Got the cheek.
As a result, it's a catch.
Let him know, Hussey.
And a first down.
Let's go.
Like you'll hear it every once in a while. Like a referee will take a little bit of artistic license in calling one of these things.
Get him the business.
But giving him the business is the classic one, and he's doing this whole thing. But I asked Kirk yesterday. I said, "Have you ever heard a referee use the word butt cheek to describe it?" He goes, "Nope, that's a first one for me." It was pretty
And
solid.
with Mark Sanchez in the call.
Yeah, that's right. Butt fumble, butt cheek. You got a double
Kinda,
whammy.
that might be the ref's kind of signature. I don't think any other ref can use it. This is
It's his call.
By the way, I mean, we were coming up with ridiculous T-shirts. One of them was punt. One should be butt cheek.
Why not?
Just wear that every time that referee's playing.
John Hussey wasn't done. Right before the 2-minute warning, DeMarcus Robinson catches a ball, catches it with his left foot down, takes a step with his right foot, inbounds by at least a full yard, and then on his third step, his left foot lands out of bounds again. There's never been a more perfect example of 2 feet inbounds before a catch. For whatever reason, Kevin Stefanski decided to challenge the call. It was quickly confirmed that it was a call.
It could have honestly just been to like slow down the
Maybe,
game.
but John Hussey had no time for it at all.
After reviewing the play, the receiver clearly caught the ball in bounds.
Like he hits the clearly just a little long enough to let you know that he's not feeling. The receiver clearly was
We're
in
not
bounds.
asking for your opinion and a breakdown of it. Just is
Would
he in
the
or out?
visiting coach please not waste our time?
Listen to him hang on clearly.
After reviewing the play, the receiver clearly caught the ball in
Clearly,
bounds.
it's great. It's just fantastic.
That's pretty funny.
He clearly, and I felt like he kind of
And he
side-eyed
churned. I was going to
Stefanski
say he
as it
churned.
happened.
He's like, clearly.
Hey, Stefanski, that was clearly a catch, so stop. And now we move inside the 2-minute warning. Puka Nacua had a 70-yard touchdown pass yesterday, and he also became just the 6th player ever, since the 70 merger, I should say, to reach 1,000 yards receiving in just his first 12 games of the year. Here's the list of names that is on there now, including Puka Nacua's. Odell, Justin Jefferson, Anquan Bolden, Randy Moss, and Marcus Colston.
Wow.
Those are all Randy Moss, Hall of Famer. Odell Beckham, Justin Jefferson on his way if he continues doing this. OBJ, a high-level player. Anquan Bolden, a high-level borderline Hall of Fame player. These are big-name guys.
And the rookie record for receiving yards is 1,455. So
Yes.
that is within reach for
Sure it
Cooper
is.
Cup with the rest of the season.
Sure it is. Look, if he averages about 75 yards a game the rest of the way, he's just shy of 1,400. And I think, A, what an amazing rookie season. B, what an amazing find in the 5th round of the draft that they had them. But I think perhaps most importantly, this team goes as he goes. This team is no longer, hey, we got to get Cooper Kupp involved in this. We got to make sure that Cooper's getting his
Comes to the primary target.
The WR1 on this team, maybe not on a depth chart in anybody, but just watching them play their first 12 games, there's no question that Puka Nacua is a more dangerous player on offense right now than Cooper Kupp is.
And, I think what you could take it to another level, and I don't know how much people are talking about it, but you would know this more than anybody else. Stafford gives these guys a chance every single game. Matt Stafford's not in a game. They don't have any shot.
No, they don't.
He comes in a game, and yes, look, give Puka all the credit in the world, what he's accomplished, but I keep kind of going back to the quarterback. I really think that's what I was walking away with as much as anything yesterday. if this dude plays, they got a legitimate chance to win. I'm not telling you they're going to go on Sunday and go beat Baltimore. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. But if he's not playing, you could lose against the Green Bay Packers in a really bad game. And I know the Packers are starting to look better now. At that point, they weren't. And that game was so ugly, and they had so many opportunities. And the moment he's just in a lineup for the Los Angeles Rams, it's a completely, completely different team. I want to give Puka a lot of credit. But I go back to Stafford because there are some times, even on that the long pass play that they had, Puka goes 70 yards or whatever it was.
It was a perfect throw.
Placement.
It's perfect.
The on stride. I don't have to slow down. It's got to give him his credit too.
But also, when Puka went down, one, he was down for a long time. I thought
he got smoked.
I thought it was season ending. I thought that this is it for Puka's rookie season. But that first drive without him, they had nothing going. It was as if all the air had gone out of the stadium. Puka comes back in, gives this huge spark to the team. So I know it's Matthew obviously has to get him the ball, but Puka brings an energy, a life, a toughness, especially in that game yesterday, for coming back twice injured to come play that game because it meant so much to him. I think it gives a big spark to the team. But also to say Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford has been a kingmaker for now 3 receivers. Calvin Johnson holds the record for the best receiving season.
Yep.
Then Cooper Kupp nearly got to that in 2021 and became a Super Bowl MVP because of it. And then now Puka Nacua may have the greatest rookie receiving season in history
and
because of Matthew
theme
Stafford.
The entire time, Stafford. Yeah.
Look, he makes mistakes. He throws interceptions, and sometimes you're like, "What in the world is going on out there?"
Yeah, but you give him time, and
he's also one of the best guys out there doing it. Still, I know it's not. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Okay, he's not Lamar Jackson, where he's going to run around out there and make a bunch of crazy things happen with his legs. It's nothing like that. If you saw it yesterday, he didn't get sacked. He didn't throw an interception.
Yep.
That 1 + 1 = 2 right here. If you give him time, he's going to find a way to beat you because he can make throws that maybe 5 or 6 guys in the whole league can make. He's going to throw a pick here or there. He's going to give you one. He's going to throw a pick 6 because he's trying to make those 10 out of 10 throws occasionally, and you're going to miss by a ball or two, and that's a pick 6 going the other way. He is still... that play to Puka, Kirk says to me at the time, and Kirk sits between Emily and I. So he says it, he goes, "Oh, they're taking a shot right here." Right when they broke the huddle, you could see Matthew Stafford look around, and he did one of these things. He changed the play at the line of scrimmage. Kirk goes, "They're taking a shot." Sure as you know what, there it is, bang. It's because he knows what he's looking at. He got the look he was looking for, and then he was able to deliver the perfect throw at the perfect time. There aren't a lot of guys that can do that. There might be some guys that can see it, but then you can't make the throw. There's probably some guys that might be able to make the throw, but they don't see it before it happens. He's both of those things. Give him. He's not a young guy, so you got to protect him a little bit.
Sure.
But if you give him the protection he needs, the throw he made to Demarcus Robinson to set up the touchdown after they had 3 false start penalties in a row practically. It's a perfect pass.
He's not like Patrick Mahomes, where he'll be like doing the shovel pass. He's not going to mess you up because he's playing backyard football. But he's him, Aaron Rodgers. I'm trying to think of other players that are like him, but there are only a few veteran quarterbacks that can really get it done in the league because their precision,
their experience, and everything else comes with it.
And this is why they ran into this season the way that they did, with let's just see what happens. That they're 6-6. I think if you gave Truth Serum in the neck to everybody, they'd be like, "Yeah, we're a little surprised that we're 6-6 at this point." But they are in large part because the defense is better than anybody thought it was going to be, and Matthew Stafford has been that good. That's why.
They've also, to kind of be sitting here, what do we have now? 13 weeks into the NFL season, so they're sitting at 6-6. A month ago, if I was telling you there's a scenario out here where they're in the mix, they're in the hunt, they're actually they just need a little bit of help. Not much. So it's not like this is a pipe dream and you need 3 or 4 teams in front of you to lose. They literally, all they have to do is win the games that they're supposed to.
I think they're in if that happens.
And that would be going 3-2.
Yep.
And that would mean that your 2 losses are against one of the best teams in the AFC, clearly the best team, in my opinion, in the NFL, and the 49ers. But you just win the other games, you're at 9. And just looking at it, Green Bay's got to play some good football to get to 9. The Vikings, Vikings have to play really good football just to get to 9.
Yeah.
That it is not a...
There are 5 games. They could lose all 5 of them. They could win all 5 of them. It's just they're all toss-ups for Minnesota.
I also know that the Rams are definitely going to be underdogs in this game against the Ravens. Yes, they should be.
Do you see what it is?
I have not seen it yet.
It's
but
7.5.
Right. The Ravens have also lost to the Colts, the Steelers, and the Browns this season. Steelers-Browns chalk that up to AFC North Division.
Yeah.
But the Colts, the Rams beat the Colts. I don't know. There's a space in there that the Ravens could overlook the Rams.
The Ravens do really well against the NFC, as you know.
Yes.
And I still have
Off a
PTSD
bye.
from what I saw Lamar Jackson do at the Coliseum a few years ago. It was as dominating a performance as I have ever seen an NFL player put together.
Baltimore's got also, too, they still got so much to play for.
Yep.
You got a chance for the
seed.
top of the AFC. So I think that
Yeah.
if you're looking for a game where they might have stumbled a couple times or sort of stumbled, they'll be as prepared as you could possibly be.
And they're coming off a bye. But also, the Rams played the Ravens at the end of the 2021 season, and it was another spark too. I know, completely different team.
It was a Huntley joint that night.
I understand. I understand, but I'm just saying, with the way the Rams are playing.
What she's trying to say is she hates the Ravens.
I get it. Lamar and the Rams, I've seen it, and I didn't love it. The first time I saw it, he absolutely tore them to pieces. Hot and cold, coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN.
All right, happy holidays from Sierra Subaru of Monrovia. This holiday season, consider one of the many adventurous choices they have available for you. I've got a chance to drive the Outback. I've got a chance to drive the Solterra, the Ascent. Beautiful line of cars. But during the 2023 Subaru Share the Love event going on right now through January 2nd, how about this? When you purchase or lease a new Subaru at Sierra Subaru of Monrovia, Subaru will donate $250 to the charity of your choice. The ASPCA, Make-A-Wish, Meals on Wheels, or the National Park Foundation. It's cool. Every time I go to the dealership, they got so many cool photos, great photos of their participation within the community, their participation within Southern California, of course, specifically in Monrovia. They really, really, really care about taking care of the community. I participated in the early part of, or the last part of November in a toy drive that they're a part of. So always different stuff going on. Just go to sierrasubaru.com. Visit them just off the 210 and 605 freeway. Share the love with Sierra Subaru of Monrovia.
.com. Time for our feature we do 3 days a week at 12:30 p.m. Who's hot? Who's cold? Thanks to Next Gen. Time for Who's Hot on this Monday. How about Rocky Balboa? Take it away, producer M.
All right. So, why Rocky Balboa is hot today is because yesterday or this weekend, this little kid went up to Sylvester Stallone, who was taking pictures and doing a meet and greet at the Rocky statue at the Philadelphia Art Museum. This little kid walks up and starts quoting a Rocky speech straight to Rocky. So I'm going to play it for you. It's pretty impressive what this kid could do.
Sunshine and rainbow. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are. It will beat you to your knees. And keep you there permanently if you let it. Me, you, or nobody can hit his hardest life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit. And keep moving forward. How much you can take. And keep moving forward. And the winning is still on. And if you know what you want, get what you want.
That's awesome.
All right. So isn't that great?
If you were ever worried about Philadelphia running out of lunatic sports fans, you don't need to anymore. Right?
They breed them.
How old is that kid, Em, give or take?
He
10?
was probably 10.
Yeah. 10 years old, and he's got that in his back pocket. Philadelphia will always be Philadelphia.
It was a moment to shine right there.
That's
Good for
great.
him.
I get it. It's a good. Of all the Rocky movies to really get it, Rocky Balboa is the one that we want to quote.
Well, it was still, that movie still came out probably 6 years before that kid was born.
I get that. That's not my point. My point is like Rocky won Best Picture, right? Like Rocky is an iconic boxing movie, and if you want to get a little cheesy, you could go into Rocky 2 and 3, and beyond that, they're campy until you got into the Creed movies. But that Rocky Balboa was the one that he picked. He knows the lines for sure. I like that.
It's a good speech.
Tell me that kid's not going to be screaming at the Philadelphia Phillies pitcher in 2 years and want his head on his stick.
2 years this upcoming April.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So also on Sunday, this is for Who's Cold.
And now Who's Cold? Eli Drinkowitz.
All right. So on Sunday, college football selection show, they had a bunch of different people on from anybody that was kind of in the top 24. They try to get somebody on. So Eli Drinkowitz is the coach for Mizzou. And so this is what he said at the end of the interview. So they were talking to him and say, hey, good luck for the rest of this season. Good luck in your bowl game. And then he said this to say, oh, I got a call coming in.
Bowl trips like this will help those donors open up those pockets, get that NIL going too, make them happy too.
Well, hey guys, I got a quick phone call. Connor Stallion's beeping in right here. I'm trying to get some signals here, so I gotta go. But as soon as we get done, look forward to competing against Ryan Day, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So they will face Ohio State in their bowl game.
Look, I like it when the conventional wisdom becomes just the thing that we're all doing. Everybody hates Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Right? Like Jim Harbaugh has made himself the number one villain in college football. Like he's surpassed Nick Saban. He even Kirby Smart, Dabo, like these other guys that when you have a ton of success, you become the target. Well, Michigan has had a great deal of success, but Jim Harbaugh is just inherently unlikable. And so that other coaches like Eli Drinkowitz are going out of their way to throw shade at him for no reason other than it would be funny. I love it.
We said this earlier. Think about this. We're going to all be watching a college football playoff where if Alabama and Nick Saban wins, we're like, oh, yeah,
great.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like, when's the last time you could say that? Obviously, that hasn't been the case, and that's what Jim's been able to do for us.
It's funny with Harbaugh because I'm not a fan, but I love that he exists. I love that character in that sport is there. Emily, you and I were about Aaron Rodgers. Like, I can't stand it. I'm thrilled that he's still a part of the NFL. You need guys that make you go, oh, I can't stand this guy. You need if you like everybody, what's the point of all of it, right? Hating things is super, super fun, and that's what Jim Harbaugh brings to college football.
Okay, I did not watch I watched literally the absolute end, maybe 5-6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter of the Packers and the Chiefs last night.
Mm-hmm.
Was there Taylor actually putting up Christmas stuff?
Oh, were you really?
Yeah, literally putting up
outside?
Christmas stuff. No, just inside. I had to go get stuff. We have like a little storage. Everybody's got a little storage, so whatever containers I had to go get. So the Taylor Swift piece of this, are they coming down on the amount of times that she's being shown, or is it still the same?
It felt like less. It
was less
back to
it is.
I knew she was there.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. You're never gonna not know she's there.
I did see her arriving.
Yeah.
But
it was not the insane level of, okay, I get it, that it was for the first couple.
Talking about it trying to shoehorn it into every play. Yeah.
I feel like it angered everybody. It reached a point where it angered a lot of people.
I got this.
That was merging.
She wasn't featured any more than Simone Biles was last night.
No.
Yeah. It was about the same.
Yeah. And Simone Biles was there because her husband plays for the Packers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, famous people in the stands get put on camera especially if those famous people are related or in relationships with the players.
But Taylor Swift didn't have a camera. She had like a live stream that was, she took like 30% of the, you saw the field, but you couldn't see the safety because she was in the bottom left.
Who's hot, who's cold? It's brought to you by Next Gen. Next Gen, the official AC heat and plumbing company of SoCal sports fans. Call 833-3-NEXT-GEN or visit nextgenairandplumbing.com. The Rams thing is fascinating to me, how like the different waves that we've gone through.
Big time.
Because coming into this season, I'll try to fit this all in 1 minute or so. I thought the Rams were going to win 4 or 5 games this year.
Yep.
I did not think they were going to be very good.
5.5 was Vegas.
They beat the Seahawks on the first day and I went, that looked really good. Mm-hmm. And then they played San Francisco in week 2.
Which is fine, even with an L.
And yes, it's like, okay, that looks and then from that point forward, it's like, it didn't look good for the better part of like 6 weeks. They started losing a bunch of games. They get blown out by Dallas.
It felt like it was going this way.
It was just, going this way. Mm-hmm. Like not gradual. It was they're in a death spiral, right? When you lost to Green Bay, when you lost to Pittsburgh, it's like, this is not going to happen. I thought they got lucky against Seattle the second time. It's like, all right, I don't even know if that helps them all that much.
They did get lucky.
Then they smoked Arizona. You're like, okay, Arizona kind of sucks. Yesterday was a really good win. Mm-hmm. It was a really good win against a team that's very likely to go to the playoffs, that has one of the best defenses in football, and then won convincingly. Like
Joe Flacco looked good.
He was fine. They did not lose yesterday because Joe Flacco sucked. That's not what happened. Joe Flacco was fine. He looked like an NFL quarterback. The Rams just beat him. The Rams offense beat a really good defense. They got a turnover when they needed to have it. They got off the field when they needed to have it. They got the safety at the end of the game. They just seem to have a little. It's the
no
first
interceptions,
time all
no
year
sacks
that I feel like they might be pretty good. Not interestingly good. Like, okay, that's a little better than I thought, but that's a pretty good team. Now, number 9 needs to stay vertical.
Yeah.
If he gets hurt, the whole thing is up in smoke. But I'm optimistic for these last 5 weeks. If they can win those 3 games, they're going to be in a good spot.
I'm going to throw some cold water on it. By the way, I'm with you. I and you guys were more confident than me going into the game on Sunday. I didn't think the Rams, and at first I thought it was going to be a lot closer. So if they won a game, maybe they're winning by a field goal. And it was close technically up until the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, that's when the Rams took over the game. The cold water is not a bad thing that I'm going to refer to. They can definitely make the playoffs. That becomes a lot more realistic. But I don't think they can make noise in the playoffs.
No, I don't either.
But that's okay.
I don't think so either.
That's where I think you were 3-6, and you needed a lot of things to go your way to get to 6-6. But that happens in sports. You just don't know what's going to happen. And I think that looking at their scenario is a perfect example of, if you were rooting for them to lose that game against Seattle because you wanted them to be 3-7 and you're starting to pay more attention to draft picks, you were not wrong to want that. Like, you had a legitimate case for that to happen. But I don't think that's how Sean McVay, I don't think that's how Les Snead, I don't think that's how Matt Stafford, I don't think that's how Aaron Donald, I don't think that these guys, you could strategically, like last year, take a guy out. Strategically, you could say, you know what, this guy, is he 100% healthy? Let's hold him back a couple more weeks. But I thought this year there was too much time for them to start doing that, and now they find themselves in a playoff hunt.
They got a chance, and tell me I'm wrong here. Tell me I'm wrong. Lucas Haversick's going to break my heart, isn't he?
Yes, he definitely will. And I think I had someone tweet at me being like, "Oh, don't you guys wish that you had Britt Maher?" I'm like, "No, they're both bums."
Was this before or after you nearly bit Ben's head off during the pregame show?
Yeah, Ben texted me.
Sorry,
He was hurting.
Ben
Was hurting.
This was after. This was whilst returning to the
What happened to
postgame
Ben?
show.
I still don't even know what happened.
We're getting ready to start. We start at 11:30.
And Ben, we're talking about Ben Conroy, engineers.
Yeah. Sets up all our remotes. And Emily and I are talking about college football and Florida State getting left out, and she and I are kind of on the same page on this. And Ben goes, "Oh man, I think Florida State got absolutely hosed."
Yeah.
And Emily comes off the top rope, just throwing haymakers at him. It was on. It was.
Okay.
Was there any
tremendous.
line?
Wait. Before you justify anything, how well do you know Ben?
I've been working
Pretty
with him
well.
for 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 seasons. Yeah.
So you know him pretty well.
Yes, we have a rapport.
Is this
we
your
talk
third
about,
season on the
Yeah,
Rams?
this is third season with the Rams.
Have you guys ever had a heated exchange before? Have you ever? Is this the first time you've ever come off the top rope, or is most of your interaction with him, Ben? Great to see you. Yeah, we're good. We're this. Like, is this the first time he's seen that type of interaction?
Probably.
Ben's a spider web. Emily's doing haymaker. That's exactly what it is.
I'm just saying. I was fired up yesterday. I was willing to go at people on Twitter. I was willing to go at Ben. I'm sorry, Ben. But was I
Ben
wrong?
may not want to
was I
work
wrong?
next week.
Well, it's one of these things. I don't think you're wrong because I happen to agree with you, but there is no
Don't pick
right
the fight.
or wrong
Yeah,
in
don't-
this. It is just one of these. I like vanilla more than chocolate.
Yeah.
That's what the argument was.
And she said, Ben.
I just said, you know what? I'm going to go over there. I'm going to let these two have it out.
Then you
it was
stared
tremendous.
at the stairs for a while.
I did. I
which
stood.
is
I
funny.
stood in the. Well, first of all, it's 8 billion degrees underneath that canopy. So I went
And you
found
have a
some
bad
shade.
knee.
I do have a bad knee. It's bothering me. It's bothering me. The Dump's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Hey, if you get hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. Right? It's easy because you want the best, and that's what Sweet James is. Ordered best attorneys in America. You want somebody that's going to get your car fixed. They're going to make sure that gets taken care of. That your medical expenses are taken care of. They're going to make sure that that gets taken care of. And then when it comes right down to it, right, you need to make sure that that settlement and that judgment is what you are entitled to, that justice gets served, right? You get hurt in an accident, it's scary, it's confusing. The insurance company, they don't care, right? They just want to move on to the next one and make sure that they do it as inexpensively as possible. Not if Sweet James is on the case. If you are hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-900-0000. They have over 500 trials under their belt. They win 98% of the time. The insurance companies know all this, so they play ball when it comes to the settlement. If they don't, Sweet James goes and beats them in court. So if you are hurt in an accident, call the accident attorneys at Sweet James at 1-800-9-MILLION and sweetjames.com. tomorrow against the Suns, right? Quarterfinals.
8 teams left.
And then if they win, they go to Vegas.
They win, they go to Vegas on Thursday. If they lose, they play a regular season game on Friday. I think that's the way it is right now.
I don't know the exact field. Is there any chance they could play the Houston Rockets in the in-season tournament? Because I'd very much like LeBron and Ime Udoka to be in the same room again sooner than later.
I'll find out.
What was that?
I think the Rockets are in it. They're not in it.
That was so weird.
It was weird.
That
was odd.
Look, you'll see players and coaches chirp each other. That's not super unprecedented. But to see an NBA head coach kind of go at LeBron James, and it wasn't they were never going to fight each other. It was never something like that.
I don't know. Ime was saying not going to do anything.
I think they both knew nobody was going to do anything.
Of course they're not.
Right. So that's
what I thought was funny about the Udoka part. I'm like, what do you want him to do?
But with the world that we live in now, with phones and everything, you knew that the audio was coming out. Sure. It was just a matter of time. Somebody's going to catch it for sure. And that he went at him and said what he did. I'm like, wow, that's that a coach is just absolutely letting it go on the face of the league. Surprised me. It really did.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what coaches. I'm with you. There's no coach in the NBA that I wouldn't have been like, what the hell?
No, absolutely.
But I'm trying to think like if there are coaches that would chirp. Let me give you an example. If Ty Lue and LeBron are going back and forth, I know Ty Lue once coached LeBron. I know there's a relationship there. Maybe there's I could say whatever I want to LeBron because I actually am friends with LeBron James.
Right.
Udoka and LeBron did not look like that was a friendly exchange.
It wasn't
at all.
It wasn't a friendly exchange.
Do you like them? Do you like them throwing him out?
I don't really care one way or the other.
I didn't think. I mean, let me explain. He only got thrown out because he had a technical. Udoka had a tech. He gave them double T's.
Right.
Like both of you guys shut up.
Right.
Gave him double T's, and that's why he got thrown out of the game.
I'm always with those sorts of things. I kind of tend towards more of the Ireland thing that. You need to go in there and say, guys, I don't want to throw you out. You need to stop right now because the only way I can get you to stop is to toss you. So stop. And if you don't, then bang, and you got to go. But
he didn't
give
do that.
him a chance not to do that.
The ref just kind of watched it and was like, okay, let me serve a tea here and call it a day.
Chargers beat the Pats 6-0 yesterday. Game. It was a gross game. Yeah. It's on the list of 6-0. Same score I saw when Nevada and San Diego State hooked up. The Pats have given up 10 or fewer points 3 weeks in a row. They're 0-3 in those 3 games. Bill Belichick's first 111 games when allowing 10 or fewer points, he had a record of 109-2, and in his last 3, he's 0-3. The Patriots might be the worst team in the league. I know the Panthers have the worst record, and they stink too, but a Bill Belichick team might be the worst team in the league.
Patriots, when you said the Patriots might be the worst team in the league, every Patriot fan is saying, please let us be the worst team in the league. It does make me think, when your offense is that bad, it's that atrocious, all you're asking for is there a savior that could potentially come in this upcoming draft and do something about it? Caleb Williams is going to get you some points. He's going to be somewhat of a talent, and that's what the only reason why I stop right there. They're so desperate on offense. Maybe things line their way, but you're right. Unbelievable to have a team playing that good a defense and 0-3 in that stretch.
So you mentioned Caleb Williams and the Trojans. SC will play Louisville in the Holiday Bowl. That's obviously down in San Diego at Petco Park. I went to the Holiday Bowl last year with Oregon and North Carolina. Petco's a fun place to watch a football game. It was pretty cool. So put that aside for a sec. UCLA will play Boise State in the LA Bowl at SoFi Stadium. My question to you, Slee, is who will have fewer home fans, USC in San Diego or UCLA in LA? Because I don't think either team is going to be a huge draw in either one of those bowl games.
Well, your draw is this. Do you want to go to SoFi to check out the stadium? Maybe you haven't got a chance to do that. Or do you want to go down to San Diego for a weekend and enjoy Petco and SD? It's not the football. You're not going for the football, so you're basically picking between the two of those.
So neither. Nobody's going anywhere.
I was going to say, I think it's a draw. I don't think anything happens. They should play that UCLA game at Mission Viejo. Might as well.
There's going to be nobody at that. There's going to be nobody at the Holiday Bowl either. SC, I think, made a great hire. They hired UCLA defensive coordinator Danton Lynn to be their new defensive coordinator. According to some reports, they doubled his pay from about $1 million to about $2 million. The best thing UCLA had going for him last year was they had a lights-out defense, and now the defensive coordinator is cross town working.
You guys saw Titanic, right?
Yeah.
Is Chip Kelly not the guy sitting in his tuxedo on the thing saying, we are prepared to go down as gentlemen? Last player out of UCLA, just turn off the lights. There's like 5 kids in the transfer portal. Nobody wants Chip Kelly, and now the best assistant we have goes to our rival. Why don't we just get out of the football business?
Oh, you have. You just haven't announced it.
I think what you said.
I knew that was going to happen. I said it multiple times that Danton was going to be the defensive coordinator at USC.
It's the best thing I've seen Lincoln Riley do other than coach quarterbacks.
Now just turn it over to him, grab a bunch of guys in the transfer portal, let's go.
By the way, that's for both sides. It shows UCLA, because Chip Kelly had a quote, I think it was a week ago or so, like, hey, people are going to be coming for this guy. I can't rip up his contract and offer him what he's worth. Well, nobody else did that at UCLA.
Right, he got double.
Got double. And think about this. He's going to a school where if he just has a competent defense, just a defense that is... He's going to be the guy that everybody's going to be praising.
Yes.
He's talk about a perfect situation for him.
And he doesn't have to uproot his life at all either. He doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to do anything.
Drive
just
across
drive
town.
the different direction.
Yeah,
That's it. It's a pretty good setup for them. Still a little Supercross talk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
Ireland, real quick before I have another neighbor question that I want to get everybody's input on. How rare that an NBA coach and a star on the other team are yapping at each other like that?
Rare, but here's my take on that whole thing. Why are people getting ejected?
Yeah, no, it was.
Why are
not
people getting
ejection-worthy.
technicals? Hey, ref, get out of the way.
What if he's or just tell them, like you've said before, let the ref say, guys, stop, or I'm gonna give you guys a tee. Give
Don't
them that.
make me do this to you.
Yeah.
If you want to stay in the game, stop right now.
But, where's that?
Yeah.
You know, like the amount of over officiating in the NBA is ridiculous. And if Ime Udoka and LeBron James want to jaw at each other, it's good.
I thought it was fun.
I did too.
Udoka called him a soft little boy. I thought of all the things, LeBron, you're a soft little boy.
And then you throw him out?
Right.
Why?
No, I thought
Why
it was
are we
actually...
ejecting people? Why are they calling 20 technicals a game? It just doesn't make any
It seems
sense.
excessive. I was struck by what he said and who he said it to.
Yeah, can you believe that? Soft
How
LeBron
great it would have been if
boys.
LeBron would have gone at him and they
Well,
would have
that's what I was going to say. What was Udoka asking? Udoka's like, you're not going to do anything about it. I'm like,
Nobody was
Udoka, what do you
gonna do
want him to
anything.
do?
Nobody was going to fight.
This is the old Jalen Rose, hold
Right.
me back.
Right.
It's all a bunch of guys talking. The refs didn't have to get involved at all.
They both knew that the
you're right.
audio would come out because it always does.
Right.
And you both knew that neither one of those guys was actually looking to fight the other.
Of course not.
No, they were. Well, it was. I guess it's taunting, isn't it? You're kind of taunting.
Yeah,
The only reason why
trash talking.
Udoka got thrown out was because he already had a technical. Right,
And
John?
Gary-
John,
right.
he already had a
Gary
tee.
Payton would have been
He had-
thrown out of 25 games at this point.
He had one tee, so it just so happened that the second
Which is
tee-
why he shouldn't have give either guy a tech. Like, I like the double tech, fine, because nobody gets thrown out.
Right.
But Udoka already had one.
He already had one,
that's why
so
I
he
did.
was jacked.
So, Mace, you heard me telling my situation with my neighbor?
Yes.
Okay.
Trav
so,
got in a fight.
John, I don't know if you heard it or not. The neighbor directly across the street from me, they put up some pretty lights and all this stuff, but they have some sort of speaker somewhere in their front yard that's playing Christmas
They have
music.
a DJ out there.
No problem. Okay. But it never goes off. It plays 24/7.
So the music plays.
The music plays
24/7.
24/7. So I got up on Saturday night to go, because I'm an old man. I need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
Right.
Walk over, bathroom window is open. I'm like, I think I hear jingle bells. Get up this morning to come to work. It's about 5:35, 5:40. It's still playing. They play that music 24 hours a day. You can hear it all the way across the street.
This is a violation.
How do I handle it? Anonymous note, knock on the door politely.
Well, he's got an HOA.
Do what I told Mason to do when he had the smoke alarm guy.
Yeah.
Just go unplug the thing yourself. they'll get the hint.
He suggested a B&E.
Yeah.
I was supposed to and unplug.
Trev, but this is a speaker
This is
that's
outside. Yeah,
right?
it's going to be outside.
Yes, I would assume I
Yeah.
could find where it's hooked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Pair of scissors, clip.
No, I don't want to damage the guy's speaker. I just want it off at 10 o'clock at night. That's all.
I say be a man and walk over there and knock on the door and say, "Dear sweet neighbor."
No, did you hear what he said?
They're super
He's going to
grumpy.
make Susan do it.
Yeah. of
Oh,
course.
Susan's going to.
Susan will have to handle it much more diplomatically than I
Well,
would.
see, this once again is another reason why you two are idiots. I know the names and everything about all of my neighbors. Mason has lived there. How long have you lived in that house?
9 years.
Doesn't know the names of any of his neighbors.
All I know is the famous people, and that's it.
Yeah.
Why?
Now,
Why
ask
they're
you
not
for
famous.
5 names of the neighbors on your street. Could you produce them?
Not a chance.
But see,
I could give you 50.
But here's the thing.
I know.
I live in the greatest street in America.
I know that Jeff and Marcy live right over here, and that's it.
See, we don't want to know our neighbors.
Yeah, that's
we
ridiculous.
have no desire to know our neighbors.
But our cross
we don't
neighbors
want
do.
anybody to knock on the door and say, "Can I have a cup of sugar?"
I cannot tell you.
I don't mind
I cannot
that.
tell you how many times I lean on my neighbors for something. Like the other day, one of my neighbors said, "Does anybody have a?" They were moving something. They needed a trolley.
Okay.
And I got one sitting in my garage. I just
Yeah.
text them, go grab it. It's in my garage.
Ireland
I think
lives
there's
in
two types.
Pleasantville.
There's two
I do.
types of neighbors.
That's very
there's
true.
It is
there's
Pleasantville.
two
It's
types.
Still, would you say it's still black and white there?
Oh, very much. Yes. Yeah.
There's two types of
I want Joan
neighbors.
Allen with a little flush in her cheeks.
Yeah.
There's the neighbor.
I got Jeff Daniels mopping that counter, and he's not giving up.
There's a neighbor that sees the neighbor and is like wants to wave and say hello. There's
Yeah.
the other neighbor that sees a neighbor and it's like, well, I'm going to wait until he leaves and then I'm going to come outside.
No.
Right.
That's right. But what John is describing, I'm on board with. But what I'm not willing to risk is that relation. Hey, can I borrow your hand truck?
Right.
Yeah, no problem. Come on here. Keep it as long as you want. Just bring it back when you're done with it. No problem. But what I don't want is, hey, you want to come over and watch the game this Saturday?
I don't want that either.
That's what I don't
And
want.
I also don't want.
But Trav,
I
I,
don't
want
want
you to learn this. Have you not?
If
learned
it were anything
Hey, I'd be happy, and then go back in and sit
You might
on
have a
your
good
couch.
compromise right there. That's good.
I am
If you
fearful.
unplug the speaker, by the way, it becomes a very fun game of cat and mouse.
Oh yeah.
Does he plug the speaker back in?
Yep.
I saw this in a Hallmark
They're kind of
movie.
grumpy.
There was a guy that had no Christmas spirit, and so his neighbors literally put a bunch of festive Christmas stuff
On his
his
yard?
lawn.
On his yard, yeah.
So he got up the next day and took it all off and put it on out in the street, and his neighbors went back the next day and did it until they finally won him over. Trav, if you disassemble the music,
Yes,
Just unplug.
disassemble
you want me to
it.
do it? I'll come over and do it.
I'll give you my
yes.
address.
I can see
will
Trav.
come
I can
over.
see
I'll just
Trav.
come over there with a pair of scissors, clip it, and let you deal with the fallout.
I could see you unplugging it. Probably not you, probably Susan. And then I could see you in the living room just kind of looking through the blinds like, oh, God, is he coming? Did he see it? Did he look?
Yeah.
Does he
That's
know
about
which
right.
neighbor it was?
That's about right.
Yeah, I just think a simple conversation.
I'm hoping
Hey,
one of the
Wait,
other neighbors will do it
who
first.
are you? You've never had a simple conversation with a neighbor in your life. You don't even talk to your neighbors.
I know Tanya next door.
Yes,
You
but
just
if Tanya
made up
was
that.
would you-
I would walk across the street.
You
and I
absolutely
I
would not.
absolutely would. If somebody was playing Christmas music
Yeah.
24/7, I would absolutely walk across the street and say, "Come on, dude! It's 3:00 in the morning. I can't be listening to the sleigh ride."
I
right.
feel like
That's-
the conversation it needs to be like, hey, listen, would you mind having that music go off at sometime around 10 or so? Because we're trying to. I don't know. I don't know how to.
That's a
phrase it.
reasonable conversation.
Of course, it's reasonable, but I hate
See, I have the
confrontation
cell phone
like that.
numbers of every one of my neighbors. So all I would have to do is text them, say, "Hey, what's with the music?" You have no relationship because
None.
you're a grump, and now you won't. You have no avenue
equity.
by which to
That is-
navigate.
that
I
is-
reject the characteristic that I am a grump. I am a iconoclast.
No, you're the definition of a grump.
Is another way.
No,
to
I'm
say
not
no.
grumpy.
because this.
I'm not grumpy. I just don't want
When's
to
the last-
engage in a long
You're a little grumpy.
conversation.
You don't want to
Well,
engage in
sometimes.
any conversation.
No, I'm good with, hey, that's a
Yeah, that's-
conversation.
by the way, I'm
That's
with
a greeting.
I'm
There's
with-
a difference.
I'm with Travis. I don't want anybody in my neighborhood up in my business. That's it.
Yes.
I just want my privacy. Leave
right.
me alone.
I'm not exaggerating this at all. My neighbors just come in the front door.
You
and don't
said
even
that
knock.
before.
That's insane.
I would lose my mind.
Yeah, if somebody walked into my house.
Yeah.
So
You
And
wouldn't-
they're, more
I
than,
don't-
and they're more than welcome to.
on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Susan is she's with Kelly White volleyball tournament. Both the boys are gone. I'm home alone. And
To think somebody walks
no,
in.
like, let's see how many more times they're going to knock.
You didn't get up.
Another 60 seconds or so goes by. I'm like, if they knock a third time, I'll get up and go get it. They never knocked the third time. I have no idea who came to the front door.
No idea.
None.
You don't have like a Ring doorbell?
No, but I did go after about 5 minutes
saying,
later.
hey, the music's been on. Just let us know if it's a little too loud.
About 5 minutes after, I looked to make sure it wasn't like Amazon or something that needed something to be picked up. But no, I was good.
I think part of this is the fact that your kids are now older.
Yeah.
Like the other day, Bruce Feldman, the great college football writer, lives 2 doors down from me. And he sent me a text and he said, hey, you got a bike pump. Ben, his son,
what a pain in the ass.
his bike had
High maintenance Bruce.
And I said,
Bruce.
yeah, do you want the manual or do you want the one you plug in?
Yeah.
I had him covered both ways. If not, if it happened to Mason, he'd have to drive to Home Depot, buy a stupid bike pump, and come back and do it because you have no relationships with your neighbors. Either one of you guys.
Mace.
You guys
Yes.
are both Mr. Potter and you're both son.
I'm not Mr. Potter, but I'm Mr. Leave Me Alone.
I have both the hand
His neighbor
pump.
walks by and goes, go home, they're waiting for you in jail.
I've got the hand pump and the automatic. Mace, you just reach out to me. I'll bring it here. We'll trade it.
Okay,
We're all
good. Yeah,
good.
we'll trade stuff off.
We're good to go.
Exactly.
We will be each other's neighbor from 70
Yes,
miles
from
apart.
a long-
Good luck with that.
Yeah, from
See
long
how that
distance.
goes for you.
Long distance neighbor.
Next time your coffee maker doesn't work.
Did Bruce Feldman think that Florida State got screwed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did.
What'd you guys think?
John sent me the article.
They absolutely got screwed.
think
We're
they
going to talk a lot
absolutely
about
did
it. on
not.
the show.
Yeah, we're going to do it. I think
They
that was
did
the
get
right
screwed,
decision.
but I also think they got the 4 best teams in there.
Me too.
I think both of those things are true.
Georgia's
at the same
top
time.
4.
Yeah, not anymore. They're not.
But they are. Like if we're saying they're
No.
the top 4 teams,
Nope, they're actually
Georgia would have been.
They're 6th.
Well, technically.
Yeah, technically.
Technically. But Georgia, if you're saying the 4 best teams in college football, I don't know how Georgia's not one of the top 4 teams.
Because they lost to Alabama late in the season. They only lost 1 game all year long to another team that's in the top 4. And then you have the 2 remaining undefeateds from the 2 power conferences
Okay,
that
then
were
Texas
not
should
down
have
this
got
year.
in.
But they beat Alabama. If Alabama goes, Texas has to go.
You
can't have one without the other.
Here's the point,
It's a
Mace,
package
is
deal.
that I heard the word committee 185 times yesterday.
There's been a lot of talk
and
about
the fact that that is what's determining, it's not. And I know we're accustomed. Trav likes the way this works because it stirs up conversation. This team could have got in, that team. But the fact that it's just not a regular, it's going to change next year when they do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're in because you won, whatever it is that you won. And there's different rules, I think just throws everything off. You can make a case that Florida State should be in there. You can make a case that Georgia could be in there. You can make a case that Texas could be in there.
You can make a case that Ohio State is in there.
You can make a case Ohio State.
I mean, you can make a case for a lot of teams. But I do think, and we'll talk about it, I do think they got the 4 right.
I thought Mike Greenberg had an interesting point on Get Up this morning.
Oh, he was very irritated by the whole thing.
He said this. He said, okay, let's pretend, let's apply this to the NFL. And what if I came up with a committee, and on the committee I had Rex Ryan and Bill Parcells and Marv Levy, who was apparently still alive.
Guys that are out of touch.
And just veteran NFL Hall of Fame guys.
Okay.
All right. And I came up with a committee, and I told those guys, pick the Final 4 in the NFL. And they, between the 4 of them, had to come up with it. It makes no sense. They actually played the games. All right.
Correct.
They
played
did the game.
But they threw for 50 yards in the ACC Championship game.
So we're going to predict. So Florida State didn't make it because their quarterback is injured.
Correct.
They didn't. Think about that for a second.
It's not just that, though.
All the committee rules say exactly that. We are judging you based on what players are available and what players are not available.
All right, so go back to my NFL example. Last year, the 49ers start the season with Jimmy G at quarterback. He gets hurt. They put in Trey Lance. He gets hurt. They're forced to go to Brock Purdy. Under the Mason plan that we're talking about here, the Niners are out.
Well, wait a minute. Brock Purdy went 6-0 down the road.
No, they're out. He was 13 quarterback. At this point, you didn't know. You didn't know he's Brock Purdy.
But he was success.
But
Brock Purdy was having great games. This kid is having terrible games.
One game.
50 yards against a terrible Louisville team.
One game.
It's the quarterback injury. That's a big part of it. It's eye test. That's another big part of it. And the other thing that I think ultimately it came down to, the ACC was bad this year. Their best win of the season was in their opening week against LSU, right? So, and that's a nice win.
No, it's a good. And they went out of conference and they
ACC
played.
Clemson was way down. Miami was not very good. Louisville obviously was kind of coming unglued towards the end of the season for them. Where I think everybody understood Pac-12 is really good this year. The Big Ten, maybe it's top heavy, but Ohio State and Michigan really good. The SEC is always pretty good, and the Big 12 maybe wasn't great, but Texas went into Alabama and beat them.
Using your logic, then it's hard to compare conferences because Florida State and Alabama are in different conferences. So, is there any common opponents? Well, as it turns out, there are two. All right, Florida State hammered LSU. Alabama beat them by a touchdown. Florida played both teams, and Florida State beat Florida better than Alabama beat Florida. And if you look at strength of schedule, which is the argument you're making, Florida State had the number 3 strength of schedule in the country this year.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
That can't possibly be
It
true.
was. I think it's a 3. There is a 3 in there, but I think 55th is the strength of schedule. But there is a 3 of something that strengthens your point. But I don't know what it was.
I was just listening to Dan Mullen talk yesterday, and he said that they run these numbers, and Florida State had
strength on field. Or I don't know what
Florida
it was.
State came in at the 55th toughest schedule in the country.
All right. But to me, if they played 2 common opponents, that's all we have to go
John,
on.
I want to ask John a quick one here. Okay, so let's just say Georgia plays Washington tomorrow.
Okay.
Who are you picking to win that game?
Georgia.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Georgia plays Washington tomorrow. Who are you going to pick?
I'll take Washington.
Georgia plays Washington tomorrow. Who are you taking?
Well, let's put it this way.
That's not a crazy selection.
You can take Washington, but if you asked a Vegas handicapper, Georgia would be
Georgia
favored
will be
by
the
8.
favorite. Georgia's going to be the favorite in the game.
Absolutely.
Which is why you can't just say, well, that conference wasn't that good of a conference. The SEC is the best conference, period. Right. Everybody knows that. The Pac-12, I get you might have some good wins. These guys are beating each other. If Washington plays Georgia tomorrow, whether you agree or whatever it is, Vegas is going to say, we're taking Georgia all day long. Stop. This is the top 4 teams in college football. Look, Georgia should be in the top 4.
The Pac-12 was the best conference in college football this year. That was the best conference in college football. And
On paper, you let them play. Well, if they played, I don't know if that's.
Look at the number of ranked teams Washington. Look how many ranked teams were in the
7
Pac-12.
teams at one point.
Yeah, I mean the SEC. They were down a little bit. Big Ten is a 3-team
top heavy.
conference.
They're top heavy.
Yeah,
both the Big Ten and the SEC are top
everybody's
heavy.
all intimidated. We're going to the Big Ten. There's really there's Michigan, there's Penn State, and there's Ohio State.
Yeah,
and that's the Big Ten conference.
Boys. Yeah.
This is why I like this. I don't want every sport to do it like this,
right?
But having one sport that does it like this is great. Because next year we're not going to get to do it. Next year it'll be we're arguing over whether Liberty should have been the 12th
and that won't matter
seed.
at that point.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I like it. Let's do more of it. Super Crosstalks brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out, that's what a hamburger's all about.